I was a good kid. I wouldn't do you no harm. I was a nice kid with a nice paper round. Forgive me any pain I may have brought to you. With God's help I know I'll always be near to you. But Jesus hurt me when he deserted me. But I have forgiven Jesus for all the desire he's placed in me when there's nothing I can do with this desire. I was a good kid. Through hail and snow I'd go just to moon you. I carried my heart in my hand. Do you understand? Do you understand? But Jesus hurt me when he deserted me. But I have forgiven Jesus for all of the love he placed in me when there's no one I can turn to with this love. Monday, humiliation. Tuesday, suffocation. Wednesday, condescension. Thursday is pathetic. By Friday, this life has killed me. By Friday, this life has killed me. Oh, pretty one. Oh, pretty one. Why did you give me so much desire when there is nowhere I can go to offload this desire? And why did you give me so much love in a loveless world when there's no one I can turn to unlock all this love? And why did you stick me in self-deprecating bones and skin? Jesus, do you hate me? Why did you stick me in self-deprecating bones and skin? Do you hate me? Do you hate me? Do you hate me? Do you hate me? Do you hate me?
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everyone to another episode of Occult Chat. I'm turning on everyone here. We have got a full house tonight. I'm your host, Alex Harper, as always. I'm joined by the lovely Hope and Cooper. And our guest tonight is...
Lovely Cooper.
Yes,
Thank
of course.
you.
Well,
Well, there was a little disdain with Ann Cooper's here. Like,
no.
first of
I
all,
mean, Cooper, look, you know
Cooper is here. Daddy
Cooper's here.
Some of you.
Actually,
Which is-
Daddy Priest Cooper is here.
Yes, yes. Because seeing you in that priest outfit is giving me flashbacks to my childhood, honestly.
Oh.
Yeah, I've got stars in my eyes.
Oh, it's good childhood references. Oh, was it good?
It's a good memory. Yeah, it's a good memory. You know,
Well, you know how
it is
Catholic
about
priests are.
the Eucharist and being one with Jesus. It's all memories about that. Nothing bad.
Good.
Yeah. Our guest tonight is Elder Zimraya. Hey, guys. Hey,
Hola,
how's it going,
everybody.
man?
Hola. Good,
Hello.
doing good. Well, tonight I'm actually
So
Mithras.
excited to have you.
Yes. I'm part of the Persian
So-
cult that became a Roman cult.
Zimraya,
Hooray.
can you please give us a little background on your amazing costume that you have on? Or if it's not a costume, you can always tell me that it's not, but I think
No,
that
I
you
mean,
had a
I
little something
am-
special
I-
for Cult Chad.
I am the embodiment of Mithras. I am not just a say, Jesus is just a copy of Mithras, but I am actually Mithras. You see? I had 12 disciples, born, December 25th, so I'm just here.
Wait, were you born on December 25th?
No. Oh, well, I mean, yeah, Mithras, yes, me. But no, I was born June 12th.
Yeah, you're breaking immersion here.
I did.
doing?
No, I was like, who am I?
No, it's just my version. I have a really hard time differentiating like jokes from like real life. So when
Oh.
someone is ever being sarcastic with me, so I usually can't tell. But
Hyped
Online,
Up on
I'm
Coffee
autistic
says
'cause I just
Mithras had a pointy hat.
it is pointy.
He does have a pointy hat.
It
His
just
hat
has
is pointy. He's got a
ED.
beanie on that does have a point. But someone else says Cooper looks better without the hat. Oh my God,
do.
there's some shade being thrown.
That's not shady. The
Yeah,
hat barely fits my big head. This is a classic symbol of my Irish heritage.
I mean, you
can't
do
buy
have
hats
nice
in
hair.
stores. I do. I'm gorgeous. There's no question of it. You get to see more of my face this way.
yeah,
Yeah.
you have
I think it
awesome
goes with the
widow's-
outfit.
Your widow's
Yeah.
peak looks like Alex's widow's peak.
Yeah, I have an insane widow's peak. If I like pull back my hair, you can see it's like
Jupiter
fucking
doesn't play,
ridiculous
okay?
widow's peak.
The big
I
forehead
have-
and the noses.
I have, I don't
Mhm.
know what I have.
Yeah. There's a reason they call it the
Maybe y'all
Caesar's
can tell
nose.
me.
I have a very
I have
round,
gray hair.
large
That's what I have.
forehead. Oh, you have amazing hair too, Zimraya.
Also, Harsh Noise Angel, thank you for
Angel
acknowledging
13.
the Morrissey choice at the beginning of the show.
I'm very happy about this.
I
song
couldn't resist playing
Oh,
that. Yeah. It's just it seems to fit the theme for the evening, which is Gnosticism. All right, that's what we've. It's one of the most requested topics for the show. When I've done AMAs and things like this, or other people just commenting in the chat or on Twitter, I've noticed that Gnosticism is a topic that's come up over and over as a requested subject from the audience. So a few months ago, Zimraya started following me and we started interacting on Twitter. And I saw that he had, written a book about Gnosticism and kind of a re-articulation of Gnosticism for the modern age. So, I thought he was a great person to have on to explore this subject. And of course, we can get into all the usual occult chat rabbit holes. I'm sure that, Cooper's going to have lots to say about Gnosticism. I'm actually really looking forward to Cooper's take on this subject. And, I'll be talking about, as always, Rudolf Steiner and his version of esoteric Christianity and kind of articulating that as a contrapoint to anything that's being held, because I seem to be a one-trick pony and all I talk about is Steiner. Hope has wanted to do this episode too, because she has become increasingly convinced we are living in the Matrix. And this is what she keeps telling me. She's like, we are in the Matrix, Alex. And I was like, okay, but what does that mean though? Right? And so maybe that's the question that we're here to answer. Like when people say we're living in the Matrix, we're living in a simulation, what does that mean really in the context of like a Gnostic kind of cosmology?
Yeah, and in addition to that, I think that with the entrance of Neptune and Saturn into Aries, I think that I have been seeing, maybe it's just my algorithms on X and Instagram and YouTube. But I feel like the conversation around Gnosticism and the topic has really been growing as well. This whole idea of like rebelling against the archons and finding your divine spark and using it to propel you forward, whether it's towards God or towards your own evolution. I feel like those topics are really relevant to this transit, this 2-year transit that we're going to be going through. So I think that it's a great way to also kind of usher in this transit. Even though it did begin a little while ago, we are still kind of at the beginning of this transit. So I think that talking about Gnosticism and everything that it entails in regards to what comes up in this 2-3 hour long conversation, I think it's going to be very relevant and will be good to have in posterity too.
Yeah, and as always, hope is the optimist, hoping for an only 2-hour stream.
I know.
Very wishful thinking. Just to say hi to some regular viewers, Red Nernroot, which is a Elder Scrolls reference for anyone that doesn't know. Hey everyone, sorry I'm late. You're not late. We're just getting started.
Just started, yeah.
Hey Fomal Hout, good to see you. Glad you're tuning in. And yeah, the bad game of Sims. This has been a meme that's been you've seen propagated over the internet the last few years, that reality has become a bad game of Sims. So we're going to get into all that. Why the simulation seems to be degrading, you know, all of this, right? So I'm really excited. Zimraya, actually, because he is a overachiever and a boss, he's actually put together the slides for this evening. So you know, give it up for him. He's got his own slides and own presentation that he's put together. So I'm going to turn it over to him shortly. But I thought if there was anything, any additional, you know, preliminary things we wanted to banter back and forth, you know, now is the time.
You know, Hope brought up astrology. We were talking in the comment section on X, and I thought it was really exciting that she brought that up, because there's actually like several pinpoints of astrology that's happened, at least in the last 5 years, that's pointed to the revelation of Gnosticism coming back upon the earth.
Really?
And yeah, I really do believe that. And I think one of the main things is the Star of Bethlehem. So it was a great conjunction that happened, and many people called it, you know, the second coming of the, you know, Star of Bethlehem. And of course, think about the Bible, Jesus talks several times about coming again, you know, and we can argue whether that is in a physical, material, spiritual form, where the Spirit of Christ is poured upon all of us, you know, that sure, that's to be had. But I think it's very interesting. And then also, and I don't know if I highlighted this, but the great conjunction is Jupiter and Saturn aligned. I don't know if I said that.
And Aquarius, the last one?
Yes, Pluto and Aquarius happened in 2023. And I think it's very auspicious. Actually, I started the church then. I started the order, the mystical order of the Nazarene, in 2020 when the Great Conjunction happened, or at least a little bit before the Great Conjunction. Started in June 2020, and then I started.
You have your own congregation. Okay, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I mean, I started. It actually started whenever I was in the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, and it was, you know, online stuff. And I met up with a guy, and he was really interested in Gnosticism too. And so we started, like, you know, spitting theory and everything. And he baptized me, and I baptized him, and we started putting together what we first called just the mystical order. And I was like, well, that's just like really vague. So I was like, mystical order of the Nazarene. And then we had a fallout because he wanted to go back to a paganism, and we could probably talk about that if you want to, but yeah, check out the name.
Yeah, because you were a former pagan, right? Turned Christian, right? Okay,
I mean, yeah, I was in the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn.
For sure. Okay.
Okay, cool.
I guess before I turn it over to Zimriah with his presentation, Cooper, is there anything you want to ask or add at this point?
No. I think let's follow the presentation flow, and if we don't get to the
Okay.
stuff I want to talk about, I'll
right, cool.
force everyone to talk about what I want to talk about.
And Callisto says, "Is Witch King dressed like a priest?"
I
LMAO.
am.
He
I
is.
am
He
repping the church here. Ally to the archons, keeper of mystery, bloodthirsty vampire lords.
Yeah,
I'm
you
here.
know, I mean, the
Have y'all seen
Archon
Midnight Mass?
may not. No.
No,
Sorry.
but I know about it.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
It's really
worth a
good.
watch.
It's Vampire and Jesus. Yeah, you got to see it.
Okay.
It's one
so
of those. Yeah, it's weird, but it's
here we go.
interesting.
Here is the best format to lay out your thing. So when you want me to go to the next slides, and Ryan, just let me know, and I can toggle. But I'm gonna let you take it away and kind of explain to us your version of Gnosticism.
Okay. So when we're talking about Gnosticism, particularly when it comes from my point of view, Gnosticism, what are we talking about? We're talking about these that classified themselves as Christians, but the early proto-orthodoxy, which the Catholic Church started creating polemics against them, and one of the main polemics was Gnostic. So actually the term Gnostic is not a nice term. It's not a term of endearment. It's actually a term to differentiate us from the church. So
very similar to Mormonism, right? Which isn't a term
yeah,
from
so it's
outsiders.
basically like reclaiming a slur, right? It's kind of
yeah,
like,
basically.
Yeah.
It's our word now,
Yeah. You can't. Oh, you called us faggots before. Well, now it's our thing, right? The G
We're
word,
still
the F
the
word,
first
all
half
of them.
hour, Alex.
First half hour. Sorry.
Oh god.
You're killing us in the algorithm, my boy.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I will refrain.
So this Gnosticism, well, really the Jesus movement, started in the Levant area, which is this map over here that you see at the bottom, and it really spread out from there. But it also has connections back to Zoroastrianism, Kemeticism, which is the religion of the Egyptians, and things of that nature. And that really came from the Essenes, which is a sect of Judaism that was sort of an esoteric sect, but really they were more ascetic and just wanted to separate from the temple culture. And
yeah,
so,
okay.
My modern perspective is that Gnosticism was to be separated from the church. And so my understanding of a Gnostic revival would be bring back thing before council, bring back everything before all of the ecumenical councils.
I like you already because I've said on this show, I think, that Christianity basically went to shit at the Council of Nicaea at 325 AD, right?
If I'm playing devil's advocate, that's when shit got organized and salvation became accessible to the people. We systematized it. These monkeys needed to learn
I'll give you the organization. Okay? Y'all got really organized with those militaries.
We got a little crazy 400 or 500 years after that, but it was the first. Come on, it was syncretic enough.
Is there any chance that Zimra, could you spend maybe just like a minute or two kind of telling us what happened in this time period? Like what was the as Cooper would say, the organizing event, and as you would say, kind of the downfall that maybe created the fork in the road for what happened.
Oh, I see. So whenever the Jesus movement, sprawled up, there was a lot of, as y'all pointed out, syncretism going on. And it was more than just, you know, a syncretic connection, like have an archangel that connects to Mars, which, you know, you also have Mars the god, you know, but they would literally project the different as being a line or part of that angel or whatever spirit. The church will separate all that because of their monotheism. And and that's the thing, though. The Gnosticism is really a conversation on what to do with the logos, what to do with Jesus. When we already have all of this information about, you know, these deities and things of that nature, you know, how do we interact?
If this kind of helps get to what you're asking about, Hope, in terms of like the history of Christianity, Gnosticism exists before Christianity. I would make the argument that you have to understand, or Gnosticism, there's pre-Gnostic thought, which is very important to understanding Christ in his own context. And when you're using the term Christ movement, correct me if I'm wrong here, you're talking about the historical activity that took place around the crucifixion of this figure and the stories that spread and all of it. So like early Christianity, very broadly, it would be the Christ movement. It is weird.
Yes.
If you come from any modern Christian church, you do not know your history. I promise you. Even if you're a Catholic, you probably don't know it. Early Christianity is nuts.
There's a guy. There's a guy. I can't remember his name. It starts with an M. I know it starts with an M, and he basically compiled all the Pauline epistles first, and it was his first compilation of the New Testament. That
Marcion?
Marcia. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's who I'm trying to think of. Thank you. Yeah. So there's that guy, right? And he propagates the first kind of promulgation of the New Testament and you know, puts forward his proposed codification, which then, you know, the Rome accuses of being heretical, and it becomes a whole. That's where that it's split comes from, right? Is that
correct?
That
I would say that's a clean history of it. That like the truer history of it is that there were many sects.
There were so many people
so,
competing
as we often
for
do
power at that time.
Yeah, with the history of ideas, we tend to pick one person and one idea and then create an antithesis. But the reality of, especially at this time, was that there were many, and certainly he was trying to establish it. But when we get to the Council of Nicaea, they are at that point saying, okay, we're done with allowing.
Well, the problem was too that the problem was too that not everybody had the same gospel of John and things. Sometimes they were broken up or misrepresented.
Well, and the gospels themselves were not the original gospels. They're pretty. It's really hard to make an argument that any of those authors came up with their own. They're clearly pulling from other stories.
Well, see, and that's a good argument for the Gnostic text, right?
Exactly why.
You know, because these gospels come out, of course, but then you have these initiation sects that would, you know, verbal. They didn't write anything down until, they're very cool.
They were worshiping dead bodies in crypts because they believed that the dead person that you could communicate through their body, and that by doing so that they would act as an intercessors, which is the early foundations of the Catholic saints that we would then later know. It's really fun. Early Christianity is nuts. Like I have said many times, if you all went back,
it is very fun.
Started worshiping dead people in tombs underground and having fun sex parties.
Yeah, but those are the more literal Christians, the proto-orthodoxy that created that.
Well, that's why I think they're the fun ones. But look how I'm dressed.
Well, yeah.
He ashed into my tea.
Oh,
I don't know if anyone saw that. I'm on my period. So I'm drinking raspberry leaf tea, and then he ashed into it.
That's sick.
It just looks like a place that I should do that. Hyped Up on Coffee says, isn't the oldest gospel the Gospel of Thomas, a Gnostic gospel in Coptic older than Mark? So I don't really know. Maybe Zimraya knows, but the ages of all of these things, it's kind of an open question, because it's like, really the question is, what's the earliest copy of this that we have? Right. And so
it's also
doesn't
definitely
really
not
directly answer what's older, because there could have been an older copy that was destroyed that we don't have.
And
You
then
see
when
what
it
I
comes
mean?
to and when it comes to the gospel texts, those were a verbal tradition that were written down after the church got aggressive.
None of the gospels that we have were written contemporaneously. They're almost certainly copies of copies of copies that survived, right? Like, it's why when you read Revelation, it's the weirdest book of the Bible. The Council of Nicaea, there are still big conversations about like whether or not it fits. But really, my humble opinion is they needed something that you would take home singing and humming, and Revelation gives you a great story. But it's very clearly one of the early Christian figures asserting himself as an authority on the tradition, and he's building this. And it's one of the sort of like odd books that gets picked up versus the very Greek, and for a very Greek audience that is chosen by the Council of Nicaea, because they're all
that was
Latin
the thing that baffled me, Cooper. When I went, this was the thing that baffled me when I went through my whole phase of looking into early Christianity and Gnosticism and esoteric Christianity as a result of my study of Steiner. I noticed that the inclusion of Revelation puzzled me, because there was like, it is so similar to these other Gnostic gospels that were excluded, that contain all of this astrological and numerological like significations and coded messages in the text, that is similar to the stuff that ended up getting struck, right, and not included in the canon. And I was always puzzled by the inclusion of Revelations, and I always wondered why they put it in there, and I still don't know.
It's literally just because of
you
their
need a good
material mindset.
Well, that, and like, what would it end on before that, right? It's Paul's apostle letters, right, or something like that, or the epistles, something like that. I'm saying the word wrong,
right? Yeah,
it's shitty. You need Jesus with 18 crowns riding on a dragon and a big.
So they were basically just looking for an encore song.
You need
so they're basically just looking for an encore song, and they're like, all right, well, let's cover this other band. Like, that would be good.
I would make the argument, especially given the Catholic Church's open use of symbology and like invention of story to communicate meaning. Yeah, well, to me that makes the most sense.
It fulfills the ontology and soteriology of Christianity in a material sense. When these people are looking at these texts, they have no idea about the symbolic meaning of, what it means for a beast of 10 horns and things of that nature. So they take it very literally, and they're like, oh, okay, this is literally going to happen at the end. But see, that's how the Gnostics were very, very, very crafty, or at least Jesus was, because as he said, he spoke in parable. He trying to convey a message that wasn't meant for the overall masses. There is a hidden message, and that's the way it is. There's hidden messages that, because if Jesus is who he says he was, he would know that there would be a takeover of the church after they kill Peter.
So,
I would follow that up with the point that I think folks who are not as deep in the history here need to grasp, because it's important. Up until after, to be honest, even after the Council of Nicaea, it's still not totally set in stone. It is, but it isn't. Catholicism, as we would think about it, takes until the early medieval period to take shape. It's still really weird, and there's still a lot of argumentation and debate really early on. And even earlier on in the periods that we're talking about for Gnosticism and what Gnosticism is, effectively, they're the folks who, and this is the simplest way to put it, if the orthodoxy was trying to solidify the doctrine to make it so that everybody could access it, even if it dulled it. The Gnostics and their various perspectives took, I would argue, the opposite perspective, which is, no, you have to delve into the mystery, and attempting to make the mystery more material not only weakens the mystery, but you're actually leading people astray.
I completely disagree with that. That is a polemic tactic. From the very early on, when Aaron against heresies, he admitted that the Gnostics were in, congregation with regular Christians taking up and he complained that the only problem, the only reason why we should shove them out of the church is because they had a different mindset where it should be. But it wasn't that they were in congregation arguing that. They were in congregation celebrating Jesus together with the rest of Christians.
Right, but I'm being very political in my assessment.
Right, polemic.
Yeah. So as you're going to discover here, Zimraya, is that Cooper has his agenda. We all have agendas here. Cooper has his own agenda, as do I. I would so I'm not going to back Cooper up on every play, but just to back him up a little bit on this one, there is the Gospel of Thomas where, like, I'm pretty sure it's something like where maybe it's Magdalene. I can't remember which gospel it is, but it's one of the Gnostic gospels where Jesus Christ appears as a vision, and it's only the select few that can see him, right? The others cannot see him, right? Well, and only like the true followers can see the apparition of Jesus. And so, in that passage, to me, that kind of speaks to like the elitism thing that Cooper was evoking with his last.
It's not. See, the thing is that it wasn't necessarily elitism, right?
Yeah,
it's the recognition that people come at this at different levels of consciousness and understanding, and that's the reason why it was good that the Gnostics came into Eucharist and shared with the Christians, and the Christians congregated with the Gnostics, because that allowed for a gradation of conscious understanding of the teachings of Jesus. So of course you're going to have a group of people that are like, yeah, we have this insight and we see things that others can't. Are you going to shut us up about it, or you want to learn about it? We're
going to shut you up about it. That's what we did. And to be clear, I don't know that we're disagreeing with each other. I think what we're saying is exactly, but I am purposely taking the position I don't agree with.
We're saying the same thing.
Harsh Noise Angel has our number. Harsh Noise Angel has our number, which, shout out Harsh Noise Angel. She knows.
Because I think what we're really saying is, my point is that the Bible is political. It is not. I will die on that hill. The Nicene Council is a political organization of this theology.
It was.
Yeah,
they reject the Gnostics because the Gnostics are, I would make an argument, inherently, maybe not against a political church.
So, let me ask you this, Coop.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. So about biblical symbolism and everything, like the understanding of milk and meat, right? Or milk and whole food. Okay. So once you drink the milk, are you just going to live on milk forever? Or are you just going to what's the point? You learn the exoteric stuff and then you just stop your initiation?
As I would say it in my priest garbs, no, not at all. You embrace the church and drink of its milk for eternity, and we are your servitors and guide you correctly to the right answer, rather than allowing you to come up with all these willy-nilly interpretations. And
I feel like I feel like I'm sitting at a desk across from someone at a BMO Harris Bank right now, right? And Cooper is the guy on the other side of the bank teller desk telling me this thing, right? Like I'm like shocked, transported there. I was like, oh fuck. I'm saying that was the overwhelming impression.
So I think we should probably
the
let
Catholic Church is-
Zimraya continue with his life.
let's move on.
Yeah. We'll have plenty more discussions. Yeah, let's hear what he has to say.
All right. Do you want me to go to next
He's going to
slide,
control the
Mariah?
slideshow.
Yeah, just go ahead.
Sorry,
Pretty much
I thought you had control. I'm like, well, he kept it on the slide, so he must want to keep talking about this.
Oh,
No,
that is
it's not
dark as shit. I cannot even read that shit.
Is there text?
I don't remember me making it.
Click Alex.
Is
Maybe
that
it's
supposed to be
animated.
Did I fuck things up?
This is about my book, y'all, and
I mean, this is how you sent me the file.
oh no.
Should I open it with something
there
else?
were
Should I open?
some issues here.
You know, we can really
'Cause the
screw the
text is,
slideshow,
like,
guys.
black.
I really like this banter, to be honest.
Well,
I
I'd
cannot-
like
we
to at least
cannot
pull
read
some of like this. I think is where we should. I mean, book pitch is important. So let's start with book pitch, and then there's some like good talky points, because at this point, I think we got to check with the audience, folks who are here. How lost are you in this?
Yeah,
Where are you here?
I'm pretty lost. I don't know what's going on between what they're arguing about.
Pretty much, it sounds like the two folks in costume are talking, and everyone else is like, I know many of those words, and they sound passionate. Because Alex was like, you guys are arguing. And I was like, we're saying the same thing, but from the different perspectives in the conversation. Like, this is what we're doing. But yeah, I think it might be a little... yeah, okay. That's fair. It's a lot. I think would be...
So, I mean, I guess...
oh, wait. This looks different now. Okay. Hold on. I opened it with LibreOffice instead of OpenOffice, and now the entire display looks different.
It looks a lot better. Yeah.
Let me reshare the slideshow. Like, so...
It looks different altogether, actually.
Yeah.
Hey,
all right,
the white
here we go.
background.
Is that what it's supposed to look like?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
And then...
There we go.
There we go.
There
Okay,
we go.
here we
There
go.
we go. We're gonna make it, guys. We're gonna make it.
No, yeah.
Okay, Zimraya, please.
So basically, my book's position, Gnosticism is not just some, fanfic of Christianity, but it is a legitimate form of Christianity in itself. And it actually reveals many of the things that, kind of get lost on you in Christianity, and kind of, you have the priest tell, just how, and, that's basically what my book is all about. Like,
listen to me chant in Latin. You don't need to understand the mystery. I do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Rising says, for a French native, this is what Gospels feel like.
That's pretty funny.
So, I mean, for folks who are longtime Occult Chat viewers, you might recognize the symbol here on the tree. There's a lot in the cover art here that I think speaks to some of the big picture differences of like Gnosticism versus, let's even compare it to mainstream Protestantism, because I think that's an easier... Catholicism and Gnosticism are too close.
They're going to be closer, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Where like Protestantism and Gnosticism, painfully, it's so obvious the Protestants just don't know what the fuck they're talking
Absolutely.
about. And I love to hate on them. So there's that. But like, there's a woman here, right? Like, oh my God, Eve is being shown and she doesn't look like she's a horrible monster. That's interesting. I don't know.
Yeah. So basically the whole, with my book, I'm proving that Gnosticism is by taking it all the way back to Eden and unveiling some of the Jewish mysticism that connects with Gnosticism, and then connects even deeper into Christianity, and how, that loss of that gap makes the Eden story almost not understandable at all, and its true mystical sense.
Yeah, folks, many times in episodes I have ranted that you need to understand Gnosticism to understand Christianity. So, stole off. Thumbs up. stole back on. How dare you? We have given the people a map. They don't need to think of it themselves.
Well, you know, and kind of what I was highlighting there too is that you know, Gnosticism is a proof that you know, Christianity is a continuation of Judaism from a different ending of the law in and of itself. But how does that law transform, you know? And that's what my book goes through, that transformation. Like, how does the law transform? And
Yeah.
basically, next slide.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I first looked at this book, or whenever I was getting the idea for the book, everybody was Paradise Lost and things of that nature, and it would irritate the hell out of me how people would talk about the figure Lucifer, because I mean, even
Sorry, Zimrak, could you tell us, just give us a quick like overview on what Paradise Lost is?
Yeah, so Paradise Lost is a take by Milton on the Garden of Eden.
Mm-hmm.
And what perception is and how that comes into the world. And he conveys Satan as a fallen angel. That's
Right.
Right. That's
Okay,
pretty much the gist
got
of
it. Great,
Yeah,
great. Thank you.
most of the modern, especially in the Anglosphere, imagery of heaven and hell and the Garden of, all of that maybe not all of it, but very strongly influenced by Milton. And
A lot of it, yes.
Pretty
Got it.
much
A lot
any
of it.
Protestant referencing.
And
I would make the argument that he is creating an imagery that works for them.
So
Is he a
for
16th
members of
century
the audience,
philosopher or a 17th century philosopher?
he's
believe
writing in the
later than
1400s. He's the 15th century, 15th or the 16th century at latest.
Okay.
But basically, for the audience, is he 17th? He's 1600s. Okay,
Yeah.
right.
Dies in
So
64
he's
or 74.
fucking old as shit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, basically.
But for people in the audience, if you've ever heard of the circles of hell, like, oh, we're in the 9th circle of hell, we're in the 7th circle of hell, you know, all that's where this comes from, is Milton.
No,
right?
that's
Dante's Inferno.
That's Dante's Inferno.
No, that's the other.
Yeah.
That's the other one.
That's the Italian
This is
one.
literally this. So in Paradise Lost, he is telling the
fuck
story
me
of
then.
Genesis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love you, Alex,
I've
but
gotten-
you
I
were
like how
completely
all of us
bullshitting,
right
and
now,
it was
no,
really
that's
good
fine.
Yeah,
until
I'm
you
just
tried to put a
saying
fact
stupid
statement in
bullshit.
there, and it slipped.
You-
No, Dante's Inferno, well, the Divine Comedy is also an important element of imagery, but it's actually the opposite, right? So like the deepest layers of hell in the Divine Comedy are frozen over. It's
Yes.
Judas is encased in ice, right? Because it's the farthest from God, and God is light. But
Right.
by the time we get to Milton, we're starting to think about like hell
Which
and
is
brimstone and
interesting.
fire and sulfur. Although I don't believe he actually writes about hell, but it's been a long time since I've read Paradise Lost. I remember mostly the horny devil imagery.
He doesn't really talk about hell. He just talks about the warring angels and how he fell and came to deceive Eve and Adam. It's literally just Eden.
It's
retold.
Genesis from up until they are cast out, right? It doesn't go further than that.
I believe they're cast out.
I have to look it up. I read this in high school, guys. Give me a
Yeah,
break.
we're all talking about shit we have no idea about. That's like basically.
I didn't say
the
I have
show
no
in a
idea. I've actually
nutshell.
at least read it, Alex.
It's just all of us.
Is
And
that
I knew
is
it.
that not
Bullshit.
occultism
I knew it, the Divine
in a nutshell?
Okay, so sorry. So the inherited story.
Yeah, so it was basically just that idea that irritated me, that pushed me to write this book, is like, you know, so many people convey Lucifer as Satan, which is completely like not biblical at all. Next slide.
Mhm.
So this gets into how well do we do this, which we kind of already went through that, really. When we went to the history of Jesus, the Jesus movement, and the history of it. But let's take it back to the Bible. Let's look at, you know, like John 14. and it says the way, the truth. Like, what does that mean in a Gnostic context? You know, how does one into them as a Christian? You know, and that contention kind of sits there. And I know many people say, well, of course the Eucharist, but Jesus teaches it's not what he's saying, because the kingdom is already inside of you. So next slide.
When you hear me saying that Christians are filthy vampires who just continue to feast on the blood of the Lamb instead of actually following the path he's laid out, this is what I'm talking about.
Right. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So one thing that Christians tend to miss is that the Garden of Eden is built as a prison for the original Adam before he split off with Eve, things. But we'll get into that, why that's relevant. But what this chapter conveys when we go into the prison of Eden is that it's talking about the fruits of delight, like things in nature that are beautiful, but, keep you trapped here on earth. Because beauty can be both, cure and poison for the mind. And this is where we really get the context of like where Gnosticism comes from, because they look at this deity, Yahweh, as in Judaism, and they're like, why would we be contained in this place to not have knowledge, to not have life, to, end up dying because, this creator says so. Next slide. What I found really interesting about the tree story in the Garden of Eden is basically how Eve initiate into Gnosis, because she takes the apple, and this becomes the first Eucharist, really, because as Jesus is the light and life, this knowledge of what is good, what is evil, will be pushing humanity to understand how to reach the kingdom eventually. And so the idea of theosis really is a Gnostic understanding of ascension through the different spheres of consciousness, which are conveyed through the different planetary spheres and things of that nature. And I bring it up because in Orthodox Christianity, they have an idea of the toll houses. And so once you die, you have to go through these toll houses and you're confronted by demons. And there's 7 these toll houses, the 7 original planets, 7 archons. It's the same concept, really. And next slide. This is where we get to the core of what I wanted to really talk about in the book, really, was the fact that the serpent wasn't Satan. And that goes back all the way to Revelation. In the beginning of well, no, not in the beginning of Revelation, but at some point in Revelation, is this even the slide? Oh no, I'm not even the right slide for that. But like in the Garden of Eden, you'll notice that they don't call the serpent evil at all. They call the serpent wise and clever and, much more intelligent than the rest of the beasts. And I think it's really interesting that he didn't classify the snake as evil, especially because they are Yahwists, right? So these Yahwists see a snake that tried to usurp and rebel against God, but they didn't call him evil. So to me, there's some kind of extension there and understanding in the story of what's really going on here. Let me see what else.
I'm going to pause you because I think you said a lot of things that you think people understand.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, part of, let's start on the Yahwehists. I know what you're talking about. So, leading question here. When you talk about Yahwehists and these stories and sort of like the polytheistic origins of Judaism, how does that feed into this? What's relevant? What are the key characters that people need to know? If someone in the audience is coming in totally blind, they've probably heard Yahweh as like the true name of God in the Hebrew Bible. So the idea of it being something that could be usurped by a snake sounds kind of crazy. But if you know your history, it's a little different. So what kind of walk us through a little bit of what you're talking about that?
So, like I pointed out last slide, there's archons, right? So archon, it means ruler, but to the Gnostics, these are more than just material rulers, like, and things of that nature. Although, according to the Gnostics, these politicians and stuff are empowered by the spiritual archons. But anyway, these archons manifest in so many different ways throughout spirituality, and according these different deities throughout human spirituality are connected to the archons. So Yahweh, right? Who is Yahweh? Yahweh is supposedly this Canaanite god, right? And the Hebrews were before they became monotheists, and they worshiped them along with Baal, I believe, and several other
and
deities.
Weird. Sometimes they pull from other Mesopotamian systems as well. But yeah, those are the two big names that you'll hear about.
Right, and that goes back to the secret thing, why the church separated. But yeah, and like even in my own YouTube channel, Gnostic Revival, you will see me arguing about how it's really important for people who are taking astrology and taking on different deities and stuff need to really pay attention to how they're actually utilizing them. So like from a Gnostic context, we still utilize the energies of the planets, right? But we differentiate them. We from their light source and their dark source. And why that's relevant, to the whole Garden of Eden story is that Yahweh is a representation of the head archon. He is what some Gnostic sects would call Yahweh.
So is that like how like in the Hermetic texts, the head, I don't know if the demiurge is there like a
Yes, the demiurge.
so to use that, okay, so is it the demiurge, the head archon in the Gnostic cosmology?
Yes, it is, but like it's very different than like
big emphasis on it's different.
Yeah, it's very different.
Okay.
They have a positive view on the demiurge, where Gnostics, where Gnostics, depending on the sect, of course, like they have a varying view on Yaldabaoth and the head-on sects. We'll see, of course, Yaldabaoth and archons as completely negative, and you got to stay away from them. But some will say that they have to be integrated into the soul to be once they're purified and understood by their true nature.
Interesting. I've never heard this like Gnostic perspective before. I feel like whenever I watch videos on Gnosticism on YouTube, or I find anything that anyone says about it on social media, it's always this like very like fatalistic position that the archons are evil, the demiurge is evil. You gotta just go totally focus on
the New Age,
the real gods.
A great deal of blame for that.
No, absolutely. Like New Age, religion, all of that. I take it back to kind of like Crowley or Crowley, really,
We
because
talk
he
about him a lot here.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard not to when you're talking about Western esotericism,
Yeah.
Yeah, and he had this very libertine view on Gnosticism, and if you look at the his version of the Eucharist, he invokes all of these different pagan gods and stuff like that, and I'm so sorry, I lost myself. What was the original line?
To kind of
Or
maybe
kind-
have finished the thought, the gist of it being, what is the? How do we? I think I know where you were going.
Did we all just lose the thread? All
Well,
right.
what I was commenting on was the fact that this perspective that that Yal de Bayat is something that you're supposed to integrate within yourself. I think that's something that is new to me, and I was just kind of commenting on how that's
okay.
so interesting.
Okay, so where I was going with that, sorry. The reason why Crowley puts a negative stain on that is because how he integrates, those forces. If you look at the history of the pagan gods and stuff, they're not very nice people. Zeus is like, snatching up kids, and taking them to Olympus and sleeping around on, his wife, things of that nature. And so these are undifferentiated forces of our psyche in a way, if you want to look at it
Sure.
that way. And whenever you have Crowley, invoking these forces in an undifferentiated nature, I did it with like, the nudity and, and use of body fluids and things of that nature. And I think it really just like hurt how we look at syncretism. Because like I kind of will take it from like Coop's point of view, where the church was trying to organize and focus their point of view on Jesus, too strong. And so then you have like the opposite side come in, and you
I
have
think even
extreme
that's a generous
libertarianism.
read of what I was trying to say. If you want the Stoloff take, the emperors were not giving up the imperial religion. If we got to throw a twink on a cross, and make it work,
Yes.
fine. Stole back on. We were trying to make the mystery understandable to the common man.
Yeah, no,
Oh, yeah.
the Roman Catholic Church is just fucking window dressing for the imperial mystery tradition. Like everyone knows that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no,
That's why we have a pope.
absolutely. Yeah, and why you connect Jesus to the Son so closely when the Gnostics probably wouldn't have done that.
Mm-hmm. And the two swords doctrine.
Yeah, well, why do you think we do that shit?
About it. So, and in the context of Satan and these so there's a debate that will show up, and it even kind of plays out in Christianity or Catholicism, is a question like, why would God make evil things, right? If
right.
God is perfect and all-knowing, why would Satan exist? Why would these things be there? And if you try to follow...
Because God isn't perfect and all-knowing. That's why.
Or they're not inherently evil or inherently good. They are factors of the world which you are supposed to engage with and either grow from or fail by. But like, or however you want to take it.
Both of those.
I think,
but that tends to be the earlier arguments. When we get to the New Age, they are, in my humble argument, taking the words and running with their own bullshit. They are not even trying to... So when you get to like, the Archons are evil and trying to control you and they're living in the 5G, that kind of Gnosticism is very different from what we're talking about here, I hope.
Right, that's neo-Gnosticism. Like, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
got it.
Well, so here's what I would put forward, is that if God were like perfect and all-knowing, like he would be able to create like something better, right?
Well, that's the difference, right, between the true God and the demiurge or whatever version of the archons you're talking about. Like,
right,
that
right.
is the
But the
differentiation.
thing is that like I feel like this whole thing of, so my whole suspicion all along with Gnosticism, to put it bluntly, is that it's a cope in the same way Buddhism is a cope, where they say there's no self or whatever. The Gnostics say like, oh God, you go, oh shit, well God, turns out God's kind of a dick, so maybe there's like a better God but we can't access him, right? So to me, it's just like a cope for reality being shitty. And it's cowards that are afraid to be anti-God and be like, no, this is not good enough. Fuck you, God. Like, I know better than you,
say,
right? And
dude,
that's what the
I-
human
I-
impulse calls
sounds
for.
like pro-
And that's why, yeah. All right, I'll stop my polemic. Respond.
That's why I love him.
Hey, that was good. I liked it.
Sorry.
I mean, I love that perspective because it's true. Like, if God were perfect, like, why would things right? Well, from the Gnostic perspective, when God decided to differentiate himself because of loneliness, whatever it may be, from many Gnostic texts, it's just him thinking or it thinking, God thinking, and then differentiation happens. And so, in the experimentation of things happen, like when people talk to each other and they think, they argue, and sometimes they're arguing the same point of view and things of that nature.
So the universe is like basically a runaway thought form of God, basically, right? Is the what you're
absolutely,
saying, right?
Right. But there's
So,
also
I mean,
like a form of physics that goes with it, though. Right.
But the thing is that I've had runaway thought forms and rebellious servitors before, and it's been pretty easy to reintegrate them. Like, it seems like, God's pretty bad at calling back his lost children, right? Like, it seems like he doesn't really give a fuck from my perspective, right? But I don't know.
I mean, if you're gonna create something, are you just gonna kill it because you're not gonna give it a chance to prove itself to be better?
I don't do that.
No, but that's the whole point of God. God is love. God, loved, so he differentiated. God wanted to reflect upon himself, and so he became two things instead of one. And this.
Well, then I guess as reflections of God, we are like disappointing then, right? Because it seems to be very difficult for us to realign with God. Whereas like, we suck. If you're a magician, right, you create a spirit and it like goes rogue, it's relatively easy to get that spirit to come back and realign with you, right? And so like that spirit is an emanation of me. Right. And it's easy for me to get that spirit to come back into the fold if it goes rogue.
Right.
We've all gone rogue from God, but God can't get us to come back into the fold. You know what I mean? Like everyone, no one.
He's not going to force himself.
He's not calling out to us, right?
But he
wants to see if we're going to figure it out for ourselves, basically.
I mean, Jesus came here. Is that not God reaching out? God sent the snake and, told Eve to eat the apple. Is that not God reaching out? He wants us to come home, but he's not going to destroy his child Yaldabaoth. He's going to allow things to work out because it works.
So are you saying that the serpents came from the Gnostic God?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So from the Gnostic perspective, especially from like the Ophites, I don't know if you've heard of these this Gnostic group.
I have not. No.
They're from, and they're one of the first major Gnostic sects to pop up besides like the Simonites or people Simon Magus. And they taught.
Wait, his last name was Magus?
Well, it's Simon Peter. Simon Peter was the rock, and so they called him Peter. This Simon Magus was a magician, and so they called him. Yeah, and
Got it.
right.
Got it.
And the Ophites, they taught that the snake was a literal incarnation of the first incarnation of Jesus.
Interesting. Okay. So
So when we get to conspiracy theories and the reptilians and the serpent bloodline and stuff, that's where they're pulling that from. It's a painful misunderstanding of this.
No, not really. They're getting it from like the Anunnaki and like their serpent crews and stuff.
My dude. Well, yes, sometimes, but I've been hearing the Gnostic conspiracy theorist bullshit of Jesus was a lizard and he's actually a serpent.
Really? Is that really a thing? People?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my dude, I wish this was.
Unfortunately, my dude.
People say that,
from Eden.
Sadly, I don't know the specific argument of Eden, but that Jesus is the serpent and he has the serpentine bloodline. And that's the true,
Steiner says that the serpent was Lucifer.
But, according to the Bible, Lucifer is Jesus. That's it's a literal quote in Revelation where Jesus says, I am the son of David, the bright morning star.
Right. Well, in Steiner's cosmology, he separates, so there's Lucifer, which basically represents the impulse towards self-deification and, being like elevating your and living in this fantastical kind of realm and having godlike powers. And then there's Ahriman, which is like this impulse towards materialism and ossification, and that the material is what's most powerful and it's the only thing that's real. And he puts the Christ impulse as this balance point between Lucifer and Ahriman, and that he spiritualizes the material. And so when Steiner talks about Lucifer, he's talking about like the fire, like the thing that gives Gnosis. Like Lucifer is what is responsible for Gnosis. And so the reason why Lucifer gets confused with Jesus is because the Gnosis of Jesus is delivered by Lucifer.
Well, I mean, the Bible came before Steiner, so.
Well, yes, but he's talking about in these. I'm not obviously what Steiner is doing is just re-articulating what's happened in history in his own form, right, to try and understand it. And so
he was also channeling some of it, right?
Yeah, I'm reading from the Akashic record and all of this. So
he's also not trying to
what it is that
Gnosticism.
Is that there's this Luciferic impulse is from the moon, and it's basically Lucifer is why you can think, why you have free will, why it's possible for you to defy God is because of the Lucifer that is part of every human's etheric body, right? Like all these beings, Lucifer and Ahriman, have presence in our bodies and in our incarnations according to Steiner, and that you have basically these copies of you, like a Luciferic copy and an Ahrimanic copy that like coincide and overlay over who you are. And the Luciferic element of you is responsible for like thinking and knowing things. It's where the I comes in, like that differentiation is Luciferic.
That I find that interesting because like when I listen to that, all I hear is logos, and like logos is the Jesus, the incarnation of who Jesus is as an incarnation. And it's that's what I find interesting about people like Steiner and like Madame Blavatsky and things of that nature. They come so close, but it sounds like they're really influenced by pop culture references, and that kind of like I feel like that muddles up their channeling.
Well, perhaps. I mean,
I have other thoughts on them too, but So the serpent is not Satan, but I'm guessing you've got a point that's going to follow this one,
Yes. Next slide.
which is, what is Satan? I was hoping I wanted to tee you up, and then I was like, but if the next slide's not that, I'm going to feel like such a dick. So, okay.
Yeah, so like this goes into the whole thing we're talking about, like, Jesus being Lucifer. In Revelation 22:16, Jesus, clarifies, like, I am Lucifer, like I am the morning star, I am the bright dawn. And it echoes this the same use of Lucifer in Isaiah 14, where someone is being taunted, the king of Babylon, and so therefore the term Lucifer is just a title. I mean, it means enlightened one, and it's really Satan or anything like that. And so like I agree with you, Alex, when you say it is this like liberation impulse, but I would say that the Christ impulse and that Lucifer impulse is the exact same thing.
So, well,
That's interesting.
I mean, according to Steiner, it says the Luciferic impulse is one of a self-deification, or a belief, basically of having the spiritual consume everything, right? And that the Ahrimanic impulse is to have the material consume everything, and the Christ impulse is like this balance in between, where you end up spiritualizing the material and making the material spiritual, right? That's Steiner's basic. He puts this forward as a tri-point. Now, the thing is, I always talk about Steiner because Steiner's like entry point for me. But if you know me, you know that I'm basically a nihilist. I don't really believe in anything except whatever is convenient and whatever will like do what I want at the same time. Like, to me, belief is like a tool, right? And so, but also, I mean, I do believe some things, but it's, if I say that I don't. All right. So I'm not saying Steiner is real. I'm not saying everything he says is infallible.
No,
but to me, I like the idea of spiritualizing the material because it feels like elevating. It's like redeeming the botched creation of the demiurge, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the funny thing though, because from the Gnostic perspective, everything is spiritual, and even though we have these things that we can feel and touch, they feel hard and everything, and you can break out the true pure. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean that's correct.
Well, yeah.
It is.
So
it literally is.
And right. So you can't really spiritualize, the mundane, because the mundane is already spiritual.
Pumping in the club. I'm so fucking stupid.
Because every decision we make, everything we do, every choice, it leads us to the ultimate apotheosis of what we're trying to get to. Whether that be good or not. Well, from a Gnostic perspective, that's reaching Gnosis, as you can see.
If you ask me, it's the fulfillment of your nature, which is really just the fulfillment of your own thought. So kind of Gnosis is the same answer. Wink, wink.
I mean, I guess if you want to equate yourself with God, I mean, because Jesus does say, we are little gods, but we are not the ultimate God. I'm just saying.
Like I said, me and Brigham.
Oh, God dang it. But
there's a lot in this slide.
Yeah, no, I didn't. When I was making it did not come out that blurry. I'm sorry, guys. That's my fault. But so what is Gnosis? Gnosis, basically, to distill it to a main point, is that Gnosis is knowledge that you gain by coming in direct contact with God.
Right.
So, this is the whole point of what it means that the kingdom is within you. When Jesus says, you need to get to the kingdom, he's talking about his teachings. You can, of course there is worship of Jesus, but when it comes down to it, within yourself and you will find me. Look within yourself, you'll find the kingdom. And that's where Gnosis is. It's within you. That's like a very oversimplification of what that means. So like when you're going within yourself, like what does that mean? When I visualize it, I think of it like a tesseract. I don't know if y'all know what a tesseract is, but it's like a 4-dimensional shape. And specifically like a square tesseract or like a cube tesseract, it revolves into itself and it rotates, and it just, it looks like it's just basically like moving inside and outside of itself. And that's how I picture our relationship with God. We're differentiated, we are separated, but we're very connected, and we're inside of each other, but we're outside of each other. And this paradoxical thinking actually comes up a lot in Gnosticism, especially in the text Thunder Perfect Mind, if y'all are interested.
Yeah, I like the current 93 album of the same name. Okay. It's Tree of Knowledge and the Tree of Life. So the Tree of Knowledge in Eden is the same as the Kabbalah tree? Is that what you're saying?
I'm going to pause this for 10 seconds just to catch everyone up in the audience. So we've distinguished between Gnosis, it's not telosis, it's
Theosis?
Theological. Thank you. Yeah, I'm slow today. Help the audience understand what you're talking about between those two things, because they are, to a casual listener, he just said fun, fancy Greek words, but they are important and they're very distinct and very relevant. It is me, Cooper. We're talking about Gnosticism today. I'm dressed as the Catholic enemy who, to be fair, really just out of left field decided the Gnostics were the enemy and then spent 2,000 years selling that story. Despite the fact that really we're just mad that they're giving away the secrets we're trying to make you pay for. So I am here as a representative, as a balance to this storyline, but we are really here to listen to Elder Zimriah talk about Gnosticism from his perspective, from his book, Catch Us Up, and he is about to explain to us the difference between these two ways of attaining truth through spirituality.
Actually, I would argue that Gnosis is just a part of Gnosis, is what I should say. But let me clarify what those mean. So theosis is the ascension of oneself to become like God, or to be like God, to be a little echo of him. And Gnosis, how that works into theosis is, of course, once we connect with God, once we've attained theosis, we gain that knowledge because we've come direct with God.
What's interesting is that, again, my only understanding of Gnosticism is from a lot of what I've seen online and read online. And what I hear and read is very much this like approach of having to revoke your material possessions, revoke your worldly desires, and just essentially give up everything and try to attain an ascension in that sort of way. But if I'm hearing you correctly, what you're explaining Gnosis to be is not only more approachable, and maybe it's just that you left out the other part because you're going to get to it at some point.
I think that comes from the fact that a lot of like early Gnostic sects, when they were being persecuted by the Catholic Church. There was all these allegations, like they're all just like sitting around and like taking drugs and like having visions and getting doing weird shit like
Right.
that, like isolating
Essentially.
themselves in caves and eating mushrooms and hallucinating, right? And this is, yeah.
Actually, like
I
I
think
mean, and Gnosis is really a lot more attainable than people think. It's nothing to do with being ascetic in the woods or hiding in the desert or anything like that. Jesus himself, said, be in the world but not of it. And so really this is about like how you interact with the world. Sure, you could eat that
Yes.
whole cheeseburger, half
But-
of it to be better
but-
than,
But what Satan says to Jesus is, take these stones and make them bread,
uh-huh.
right? And that's what we as humans have to do all the time. We have to, turn the stones, like money, into, that's what
Yeah.
we subsist on, like the stones, the money, currency is our bread, right? And like that's the curse of this material realm, right? And so, when Satan's saying to Jesus, take these stones and make them bread, he's saying, be a human, right? Basically.
Well, he's not saying that. He's telling him, give up on your mission, give up on your pact with God, comfort yourself for the sake of wanting to be comforted. Ascension does take an amount of suffering. There's no way to get away from that. I mean, it's built into the system itself. You're going to suffer. The question is, are you going to allow the suffering to become something that destroys you, or are you going to allow it to make you into a child of light?
Yeah. So when magicians talk about, I held back on the desert rat commentary, but I did think about it. I yelled at Alex earlier in the stream. I've got to be good myself. That is very important. And so, like, if you
why do you think I wanted I want the
I know
the
we'll
vitriol.
get there. We got to get through the storyline first, Alex. So when I talk about like abandoning the poppy fields, right? So Lucifer's last temptations of Christ are what I would describe as the poppy fields, right? So he is saying to Christ, you are God incarnate. You could rule over all of the world. You could make stone into bread. You could have any and everything you want. You could see the highest kingdoms. You could empty the seas if you so desired. And he says, no, I will live as a humble being. I will follow through with this plan. I will live as the lamb, knowing what that means. And I will reject every temptation you can offer. So what we are supposed to understand is that the goal of the magician is not to be able to turn the stone into bread, but to have the knowledge of how to turn it into bread, but to understand why it is stone. And that understanding and that engagement with the world is a more Christ-like way versus the attempt to attain mastery over creation as proof of your divinity.
Yeah,
would be my argument.
I would totally agree with that, but also too, it's point of, because suffering does unlock something in your mind. When you suffer, you attain wisdom that is beyond, the level of comfort. And, that goes back to Eden. Eden was, a place of comfort, and you were tempted by that comfort to listen to God and not eat the apple.
I mean,
I say God,
I
but
would have eaten
you
the apple every single time, like 1,000 times out of 1,000, I would eat the apple. Like, it's not even a question.
To the question of why would God create evil, or why would they put them? But God also created the tree and put it in the garden. There was always
why would you make it if I'm not supposed to eat it, bro?
But who told you weren't supposed to eat it?
Well, that's,
like that, but that is like, that's why. I guess
but the tree is there, and you can.
This conversation is making me realize why I've been so anti-God and anti all of this shit my entire life.
But I am a shameless apologist for the divine.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, specifically when it comes to the trees, the reason why the trees exist in Eden, even though Yaldabaoth wants to confuse us and things of that nature is because he has no choice.
Mm-hmm.
The trees are there. Yeah, exactly. The trees are an extension of the true divine God, and he can't help it being there. The tree of really Jesus, and the tree.
That's the point.
Yes, and the tree of knowledge, Gnosis, is Sophia. And that gets into another character of Gnosticism, which is totally disconnected from Christianity.
And arguably the most interesting part of Gnosticism in terms of comparing Protestantism versus like having a divine feminine who isn't just a mother figure.
Mm-hmm.
What? So, she has her own agency?
What? I feel like God kind of basically says, all right, here's the game, right? And like Gnosticism is like, all right, I'm not going to play the game, right? But I like want to beat God at his own game.
I would say Gnosticism is learning the actual game being played.
Yeah, because like when you frame it as I want to beat God at his own game, like you're again collapsing the one true God with Yaldabaoth. Because he's the creator of this universe. Yeah, basically.
Right.
Because if you don't know, Mormons take this and go, "Oh, I'm going to become Elohim," right? Like I'm.
But have you guys ever? But the thing is that like the one true God, like it's like Kether, right? It's like it's so like expansive and one that it doesn't have any kind of personality or anything to it, really. It's everything
that's the point.
And nothing at once.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
And so to me, like the only thing you can really judge it by is what it's produced, right? Like, so if I want to know if someone is a good musician, right, I'm going to go and listen to their music, right? So if reality is God's music and I'm listening to it, I'm like, this sounds like fucking shit, bro. What the fuck are you doing? Right? And so that, like there's some parts that are good. There's some parts that are good, right? But he could really, he could clean up the production. He could make the drums snappier, right? Like there could be.
Isn't that why
there's so many things.
Alex doesn't like jazz.
Are you not the instrument by which the universe is perfected, though? Like, I mean, okay, so now we're getting into my like occulty, Neoplatonism, vaguely Catholic, Gnostic, modern syncretic bullshit. But like, that's the point. Is that if you're to say, well, why doesn't God perfect the universe? What is a spirit? What is a soul? But a thought within the completeness that is the all, expressing itself. We're competing thoughts, fighting within a single mind to express the truth that is our thought. But there isn't a right or a wrong.
I think what people like tend to miss on this though is the fact that God doesn't want to destroy your agency. He doesn't want to destroy the agency of Yaldabaoth, and things of that nature. You can say like, oh, he did that, but it's not I don't think that's the truth. I think more of like going on with it. I think like, God had his thought experiment and then it carried on so far. And then, the physics of whatever God is happened.
I think you're right. I think there's something to what you're saying because it seems to me like the more that I like blaspheme and say like opposing things, like the better things become for me, right? Like I've been doing it over quite a long period of time now, about 10 years, and getting increasingly extreme with the things I am willing to blaspheme and say. And it's like almost the more I blaspheme, the holier I become. It's weird. So
how have you not read the Book of Law?
What did you say, Cooper? I couldn't hear you.
How have you not read the Book of Law? Have you, like, because I know you haven't actually done your Crowley homework. Is that fair to say?
No, I haven't read it. I haven't read it because
Yeah.
I thought that
And,
I
no,
wanted
I
to
need you
like
to go
see it for
ahead.
myself.
Need you to go ahead and, after this chat, just the Book of Law PDF, and you just sit down and read that, and I think you will find out, before our conversation with Georgina, you are a Thelemite. All of the fancy little words you like to use about yourself. Okay.
Well, but
anyway, not
I
to
don't
disrupt
care.
this conversation
So,
flow, but you have been avoiding your truth, my friend.
I mean, be that as it may.
Why is Cooper hot?
Because
Because
Cooper
Venus
is
loves
hot,
me.
right?
Mm-hmm. It's my
and his Jupiter is stationing, trying his sun exactly.
Also, he has moon square Venus.
He was born
anyone with the moon square Venus is gonna be physically attractive. Like, never seen it not work.
Someone says Alex
That's okay.
is
Women
nearly
can find
with
you
God
hot.
right
I love
now.
that. Everyone
Like
should
I
find you
have
hot.
been with God before, and like it brings me to my knees and makes me cry, and then I'm like, you know what? Like, you fucked up my shit. Like it's like
It's because you have.
it's kind of like when someone comes to visit, right? And then they like make a mess and leave. And then they leave and there's like all this shit you have to clean up after. That's God, right? God is the guy that comes to your house and he like makes a big mess and trashes everything, right? And like gets super drunk and like jacks off and jizzes on your couch.
If I was
right?
4 years old
And
right now, I
you
would
have
jump
to
through the
clean
screen
up
and beat
all
you.
of that shit. You have to clean up all that shit after he comes in. And then you have to be like, oh, thank you, God, for coming to me. I'm such a lowly human. I don't deserve it, right? Like, I don't know. Fuck all of that shit.
Okay. What is a flight to Indianapolis? Because I am about
I really gotta get to meet
that. Yeah, it's not going to be fun though.
Really funny.
Yes, but more seriously.
Yeah. All right, we can go back to the slideshow. All right. Sorry, Zimraya, for derailing you.
No,
Please
like,
continue.
hey, y'all are helping me actually. But next slide. So yeah, the tree of knowledge. So to go back to that, like the two trees are there because it's an extension of the true fundamental transcendental God. And that's the reason why Yaldabaoth, can't help but to have the trees there. So all he can do is tell Adam and Eve, like, hey, don't eat that, And that's why it's so easy for the Logos to descend as a serpent and say, eat it. And, Eve listens. Because the thing is that the truth is fundamental. The truth, when you hear it, you know it, And I know that's not the true, it's not the case every time, but it tends to be the case 9 times out of 10. And, Eve, led with that instinct. And I think that says a lot about the spark within us. Even when we're being lied to, eventually we'll be led to the truth with the help of God.
Yeah, and I think just to put that into like simpler terms for folks listening, one of the more interesting elements of this is that, like, I'm trying to find a nice way to say it. A lot of the last like 2,000 years of Christian doctrine has been spent trying to convince you that God hates you, right? Like, more or less. That's wrong. And so when you approach these earlier forms of Christianity, I think you need to allow yourself to step away from that assumption. And that's hard to do, but you have to do it, because otherwise you will never comprehend any of this. If you are ever approaching this from like, oh, God's trying to prove a point, or God wants to be right, or God needs to be validated and must be told over and over and over again, oh, you're the truth, you're the supreme, you're the glory, you're that is not God in the Gnostic sense, right? That is the supreme archon, the demiurge, whatever you want to talk about. That is the opposite of what you're supposed to understand about it. you must comprehend that love is the impulse behind everything. And so when you're talking about like he doesn't even want to destroy the evil things, that is how true and perfect and complete the divine's love is that even the worst and most awful thing is still something beloved. It is an aspect of the all. So the question is, well, what within the system allows for the system to purify itself? Is it that everything is awful all the time because the chain of events went awful, or as a loving God would allow, there are fail-safes over and over and over again, and no matter how bad things get, there are still chances to redeem oneself and still chances to return home, right? Like that would be my argument for what the apple is, like if we're talking about like Lucifer, and then that transforms into Christ, which you could later make arguments transforms into another self-being, like whatever age we're in now, where it is that same loving impulse trying to repeat itself over and over again, making itself accessible over and over again, but never forcing you to choose it. It is always an option, but never forced upon you, because your ability to choose is what makes you beautiful to the divine. That is the loving act of destroying perfection to allow for imperfection is an act of love, I would argue. So that's why when you get to folks of my ilk and like making choices and being decisive is really important. And even in the book, I say like to know is to love things. Like to know something is the highest form of love, which is where I would talk about like Gnosis is fulfilling that. It is a form of love. It is coming to
But then
be
why
part
are
of.
there? But then why are there so many idiots?
Yeah, this is
Because they
exactly what
choose to
I
be
was going to
idiots.
say, Hope, is that
Because they're allowed to be bad.
No, because
No.
most of my criticism comes from the fact that humanity is basically, you know, people either it's just I don't know. I don't know if I can say this without sounding like completely misanthropic, but yeah, it's just the level that people are at is just quite frankly like disgusting and pathetic, like the vast majority of people, right?
You can be stupid and you can still be loving. I mean, look at people with Down syndrome.
Or love.
You know, not even.
No, but the thing is that
you know,
that's the thing is that no one is, right? Like, or hardly anyone is. Like, yeah, people are to an extent, but it's like people don't think. They just
they
like
could.
react. Like
right, that's a people problem.
Yeah, but it's like this thing where it's like it's kind of like what I see this as is like what God has done is he's basically taken a 2-year-old and he's putting it in the front seat of a Toyota Corolla and he's put it in drive and then just like stepped away, right? You know, like I don't know.
From the Gnostic perspective, you know, God made other creatures after him, right? So there was, you know, there was the first thought, which was the Logos, and then, you know, the Logos had his consort, you know, which they call that a syzygy, and this is the union between two positive forces, or what they call aeons. And there's so many aeons after the one true transcendental God. And then you have the aeons who created Yaldabaoth, who ended up creating material universe.
Yeah, so my beef is not with the material universe. My beef is with like humans, right? Like I don't think that it's a problem with like where we are. I think it's like a problem with us. Right? Like we are unable to like actually be like I see this so often with people I know and friends of mine where you know they can't live a life and not be depressed. Like everyone's depressed, everyone's anxious, right? And I feel like a freak because I have a good time, you know? And so it's like I feel like basically everyone's ill-equipped to enjoy this. And so that's where I'm like, all right. You know, like I get it that God, but then this basically makes God into a trickster, right? Which to me, makes me want to jettison the idea of Christianity
I
entirely.
think the
Because if the
problem
God
that
is
you're
a trickster
imagining
God,
to be agentic. I think that's
Well-
the confusion here. And I'm going to speak strictly from a Platonist, because I am shamelessly a Platonist, right? So when we talk about the one, the true God, whatever you want to, the point is that it doesn't have agency. It isn't trying to do anything. It is. And in its being, all of these other things come from that. And so it isn't that God meant for anything to happen. It is that God exists, and therefore existence proceeds from that. And those processions are of their own agentic flow. And
Right.
the universes that come from that are make
all
their
right, you're
decisions.
sounding a lot like Schopenhauer, who I know you don't like.
Well, I don't know that I have a strong view on Schopenhauer. I mean, well, probably not a positive one, but
I don't know. I can't imagine you. But that's basically what he says.
I mean, even from a Gnostic perspective, like with God and everything like that, like, you know, it's true, like how Cooper is conveying it. You know, the one true God, it's not that he necessarily has agency, it's just his impulses to create, and what he created were things with their own agency. And, you know, that's what I keep saying, you know, like he doesn't want to take it, you know, the one true God doesn't want to take any agency away from anything that's been created after him, you know.
So I get that. All right. So maybe I am aligned with God then, because I do believe in that principle.
well,
So-
and, Plato talks about it as non-participation, that the true unity doesn't participate with all of the other unities that proceed from it, because in participating with any one of the unities, the unity loses its category as one.
Right. I
So,
mean,
like,
well,
in my very annoying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bullshit that we talked about last week, when I'm talking about the one, that I would talk about as the true God. That is the thing that exists without any equal, and as soon as an equal comes in, things spiral out. Would be
But
my
that God is so weird, man. Like that God is
Yeah,
so like
it's meant to be
it's
knowable.
disorientating and like, yeah.
Would be my argument, but we're here to hear your argument. So again, Platonists and Gnostics are cousins, and that's why Catholicism's kind of in there. But
well, that's what I was gonna say. Like how you say that there's no like interaction between the one and, you know, the thing. You know, I kind of agree, but except that from a Gnostic point of view, it's like God is a fountain of light. Light pours into, and then that fountain pours more. But even then, that kind of explains like how the darkness, or the what we call the kinoma, or like the emptiness is created, is because of the fact that of this, you know, like almost like a fixed thing we call the principle of diminishing light. So as the light pours from every aeon to the next aeon, the light becomes thinner and thinner and thinner. And, you know, that's one reason why Yaldabaoth comes out as a, you know, corrupt being.
Right.
The descent of the soul. Oh, okay. So, one question that I didn't hear y'all bring up, which actually usually comes up, is like, why is it that if, you know, God is this transcendental God, and then you have Yaldabaoth who makes the bodies of Adam and Eve, why does God allow the descent of the spirit into those bodies? Why, you know, if he's, you know, wants to go ahead and
Okay.
perfect everything.
Mhm.
Well, the simple thing is that it kind of gets into medics, and you know how you have the principle of correspondence. So when Yaldabaoth is creating the bodies of Adam and Eve and such, it creates that correspondence to the part of the transcendental light that those bodies are connected to. Because like I said, you know, the one dispenses his light, and that light pours out until it reaches even Yaldabaoth using that same light, but in a different way, where he has to say, you know, literally let the light and such, literally almost using incantation. And so this principle of correspondence is why the one transcendental God had to put our spirits into our body, because it's almost like a pain. Yaldabaoth makes this body that can't move or anything. That's how it's depicted text, that whenever Yaldabaoth and the archons made the body of Adam, that the body couldn't move. It had no motion. It couldn't live.
So
It's made of clay, quite literally.
But so I think this speaks to like the problem I have with this, because this puts God as like this complete being, and then like he has this other thought, this emanation, the demiurge that then creates us. But when I think about the microcosm, macrocosm, like the human being is a manifestation of the universe, and the human being is a manifestation of God, right? I feel like God is imperfect, right? And that like even like the ultimate source of everything is imperfect. It didn't start perfect and then degenerate. It has begun imperfect and is improving, right? And if you look back over like geologic time, you see that people, like there are species of people that like no longer exist right now, right? Like and the things are moving and combining and coalescing, and there's an increase in and they've proved that the third law of thermodynamics doesn't really hold up, and that increasing complexity does happen, right?
See,
and
this is why you should be a follower of me and actually finish reading my book that I can clearly tell you have not finished reading, because you are repeating what I talk about in the third chapter of the book, which is that is my big differentiation from most of these traditions, that I do not believe the generated universe is declining, that I believe it is in fact improving. That's where I would disagree with Plato and most of the Gnostics.
I know.
I wouldn't say
it's almost like you should read the goddamn book that I wrote.
This must be why I like you so much, and why I want you to be a co-host on my show. Maybe I should actually read your book.
6 years of
He hasn't, by the way. It's
I have not read your book. I admit it. I have not.
I know you have not read it.
But I have slept with it, right? Which is a bigger show. I don't know. To me, I won't sleep with anyone's book, right?
Fair enough. I'll take it. I'm just saying.
I mean, you're up there.
You
with
wanted
like
me to be the one who was against this,
and
I'm like, I actually, as far as Gnosticism goes, I'm a Platonist. We're in the same family tree. We might think a little differently here and there, but yeah, I don't know.
I mean, but the thing is that when it comes to the argumentation of like God being perfect and then thing perfectly and then it's getting better, I mean, even from the Gnostic perspective, they had the idea that you like as a not only are you to the pleroma through your ascension, but you're ascending the earth. And this kind of comes back to Revelation, it talks about the full of earth and things of that nature. And you have like Origen, who talked about apokatastasis, which means like basically the reformation of the world through a fiery mystical experience. So really the Gnostics didn't talk about the world decaying and like nothing and shriveling up, but it actually talks about the material world being pulled into the pleroma as one.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's and I rant about this all the time, of like the monotheistic Christianity that comes about some like 1,000 years after Christ's death, like the true absolute monotheisms that modern folks coming into this are thinking about. You just can't bring it here, of like perfection in this like I use the word complete sometimes rather than perfect, kind of getting at the same vibe of it isn't a question of right or wrong or flawed or flawless, but how whole something is. But in its separation, it doesn't become less. It's just separate. It has the additional quality of separateness, which in some way dilutes it, but in another way expands it. And I think that's maybe what you're talking about is that tension is a truer Gnostic take is not so much it is bad because it is distant, but it is distant and therefore distinct.
Yes, correct. And not only that, but the distinction and the space between God and the material universe will disappear at one point. That's what's prophesied.
An accordion kind of version of reality is what we're talking about here.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Whoa, what did I miss?
Basically, we're all agreeing more than anyone expected.
Yeah.
I don't. That's why when you thought, no, it was because Alex before this was like, "Oh, Coop's gonna be crazy," and this. I was like, "Do you? I know you fucking haven't read my book because most of my book is me glazing Gnosticism. It's a solid like 40 pages of me being like, this is the only version of Christianity that anybody should bother listening to. The Catholics just want to steal your power." But if you want to do Christ's work, it's hard. Like embracing absolute love is really hard.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather go another way. Mm-hmm. But it's there. It's in the book. I do say it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah.
Oh, okay, so right. So the principles of diminishing light.
We kind of already touched on that. So like this is oh, go ahead. No.
No. Go ahead. Explain this to us.
So this is like basically like metaphysics going on whenever God creates the aeons, and then the aeons go on to create what they create. And so this manifestation of diminishing light happens. It just happens. And it's not that God wanted it to happen or anything like that, but it's just how the procession of dispensationalism works.
And so when you're talking about like the physics or the metaphysics of it, it is very literally, this is just how it works. It's not a question of morality so much as it is, this is literally how reality generation takes place.
Yeah,
it is
even
a description more than sorry, we got a big old thunderclap here.
No, you're good. But no, like literally, that's what Gnostics are about. They don't care so much about the literal interpretation as so much as what is the metaphysics behind it. So like you can look at like texts like the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, and she goes into what is the nature of sin, and it basically just goes into like, literal sin is it's you being away from the attunement of the Father. And it's not saying that you're necessarily bad for it or that you're inherent, but that you want to get away from sin and you want to attune closer to the Father. That's it.
It's interesting. Gnosticism sounds so much more approachable now. I'm realizing how I always thought it was this super ascetic thing, but
the New Age is unforgivable in what it has done to literally every magic tradition. There isn't.
And I'm like reading this, and I'm like, I agree with a lot of this.
It's so funny because y'all talk about how
Christianity.
Yeah, no, literally.
You cannot understand any Christian tradition without understanding this. They all just try to avoid it. Would be my argument.
And they touch on it. They touch on it all the time. Oh, go ahead.
Because you can't escape it. Because this is the logic of their God. Like when I talk about Christ as a magician, this is the magic system he's using. Very explicitly. So
he did the best.
Whether you believe he is the one and only, or you take my perspective of he was a master magician, either way, this is what he's using. So to understand what he's saying and what he's teaching, and when he talks about, I am the truth, I am the way, there is no way but me.
Right.
He isn't saying, lick my feet and cry at me. He is saying, you must become me.
Yeah.
You must do as I did and live as I was. And you can do that because you and I are only separated by our understanding. Oh. And so that's the
well, in terms of that, I Jesus is always like even if he can't do anything to change it, he's there to like make you stronger so that you can do something about it. It's like,
Yeah, and call out the assholes while he's at it, you know?
I was going to say he did a lot.
Yeah.
He's not subtle.
yeah, he can trip up your enemies for sure. Yeah.
So I have a question. I think just as an astrologer, this is coming up for me, and maybe it is for like some of the audience too. But you know how the archons are supposed to be the planets, right? And there are these there are these like instruments of fate, and are keeping us tethered to the, you know, this material world. In the larger realm, let's say above us, where the monad and the aeons exist, I'm just kind of trying to like understand how to conceptualize the aeons. In this other realm, are there other beings, but like kind of like how in ours humans exist? Is there anything that we know of in regards to like who the beings are within the greater realm, and who were the aeons? What roles do they play? Are they like kind of like the gods that we have here, or or do they play a larger role facilitating what happens as the archons do, or is it kind of just a realm of like, so what I'm wondering is like, is our realm purely a realm of like differentiation from like the greater realm, or like how much similarities are there? How much are we mirroring what happens above?
But before we even get to that, I think what you raised a point about the planets being archons. That's like a kind of a debated and controversial point.
Answer the second half of the question first.
Well, that's something that is kind of debated and a highly contested point.
Yeah, answer the second half of the question first, because that's way easier to answer than the first half.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So differentiation happens all the way past the monad. The only non-form of differentiation is the monad himself, or itself. Right. But the funny thing is that we look into the aeons, it kind of is almost an extension of the Trinity. So like,
did you say aliens? I didn't like
aeons.
Aeons. Did I say? I might have said aliens.
No, you said aeon. You said aeon. You're good.
Sorry. Okay,
been on it, you know. But
yeah, I'm so sorry. Can you repeat that? So the aeons are,
they're sort of extension of, and so when you look at the aeons that way, they're forms of Jesus and Mary Magdalene, and they're syzygy forms. So like the Trinity says Father, Son, Holy Spirit, right? Or at least that's how the Trinity is formed in, you know, the more orthodoxical traditions. When you're looking at it from a Gnostic's perspective, the Son becomes two people. It becomes the Son, the first thought, and his consort. And then every aeon thereafter is basically an echo of the same thing. It's like looking at Jesus and Mary Magdalene dressed in different colors or a different costume each. But it's really just the same. But differentiated intelligence.
Hesiod in the Theogony talks about like the generations of gods, and as we go from like the chaos to the Titans to the Olympians, they are increasingly human-like and like us, moving from concepts of the most raw order, like being itself is like an aeon. I think. I know there is a list, but they're concepts. It's like happiness. It's the mixing of things. It's aeons don't exist in material reality. So the when we think of like a being, that doesn't really fit there. They're more like concepts than gods.
Yeah, it's
like the archons are where you would get to Zeus parallels. Is that a little? Does that help get in this image?
Yeah.
Everything that we think about as even the highest form of God, like as what's the it's not Yahweh or Elohim, but the other word you used for it. That's all still within that bottom circle. So the overlap is that itty bitty 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 bit, and everything else is conceptual reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well said. Yes, that's correct. And the thing is, though, with these differentiated forms, especially when we're talking about in relation to aeons and like how they interact with us, they're sort of like the abilities of our mind.
Hmm.
You
That's a good way
know,
to think
so
about it.
logos is like logic, and Sophia is wisdom, and then you have like things like I'm trying to think of an aeon that I know, you know, translation of.
I
But
have the list up here. Hold on.
Thelema. That's one that
Yeah.
Alistair
So-
Crowley too. But aeon, but it means will, and that's a a power of your mind.
The way that kind of Steiner incorporates astrology is to say that the planets represent different facets of the human mind, right? And that like different thoughts that you have is due to those planetary forces, and like impulses will be. So it's like, you know, when you are, you know, discussing something with someone, that's Mercury coming through you. And when you're fighting with someone, it's Mars coming through you, etc. You know, this kind of thing where the planetary forces are like constituent parts of reality that manifest when you do things.
Yeah,
I'm so mad. You have not read my fucking book. You haven't even read 2 pages of it. Okay. It's a whole first book is what you're talking about here, but that's fine.
We're so salty.
But yeah, so like, and when it comes, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so then, I mean, yeah, because what Alex is saying is true too. So then it's like, how do you differentiate like what the aeons are, in regards to, you know, the expressions of your mind or your soul, and between that and the expressions of like the planets or of the archons? Is it because a lot of the things that you guys have said, you know, that represent Sophia or logos, it's like you could, you know, the people can attribute those same things to like Jupiter and the sun. So it's like, would it, from your like in your guys' philosophy and in how you guys frame all of this, is do you guys differentiate it, or is it kind of all the same thing?
Personally, from my tradition of Gnosticism, we do differentiate the aeons from the archons. But the thing is that the archons are just a corrupt reflection of the aeons. So that's where you get those connections from, you know, you get similar correspondence. And like the funny thing is, like, you know, when we start talking about it from a psychological point of view, like from, you know, Carl Jung's, form of psychology, you know, highly influenced by the Gnostics. Yeah, he was very mystic. I mean, he's the one that came up with synchronicity. You know,
yeah, right, exactly.
I didn't know that he was so influenced by the Gnostics. That's
very much.
Also
so
good context for me to hold as I read you.
Yeah, it's really interesting because he basically said that the Gnostics finished his work, like it completed what he was trying to convey. And what he was talking about was like the feminine and masculine, or the anima and animus in every man and woman, which connects back to the aeonic syzygies, or the union between aeons.
Right.
Yeah. And
right, because didn't every aeon have like, wasn't every aeon actually like two things?
Yes.
You're like polarities of an aeon.
Yes, and it's funny because it's not polarity in a sense of like good or bad or anything like that, but just like a feminine aspect of an idea and the masculine aspect idea. So that's really interesting.
Right.
But going further with the idea of archons and Jung's, psychology, he talks about the idea of differentiation, right? And so it's like how, that kind of becomes confusing from a Gnostic point of view, because like differentiation is what brings corruption, it's differentiated from the source.
Right.
So when we're looking at the archons from that aspect, we have to think of it like the archons are undifferentiated, and the idea of being incomplete. I don't know, like it's really it's kind of hard to conceptualize, honestly, when it gets to that point, because the archons are an echo of the aeons, yes, and they have similar influence, but it's corrupted, and they also energy within us, like I mentioned before. There's like, it has like similar connections, like the 7 chakras. And you can go go ahead, I'm sorry.
No. I'm mostly trying to reinforce your point here of the idea basically being the difference between an aeon and an archon. Archons follow after material reality's logic. Archons precede material reality's logic. So when he's saying corrupted, I would resist the demonic kind of corruption that a lot of people are hearing, because I don't think that's what you mean. Your nods are saying that's not what you mean. It literally means farther from the full version of the thing. It is different from what it was. And in that difference, there is all of the things that we might perceive as problems, right? So the archons are flawed in that they are bound by the logics of material reality. So like Aeon Jupiter and Archon Jupiter, you could think of in that kind of a context where there is, or if we're using the Kibboleth, not the Kibboleth, the Sephiroth, the Tree of Life. Kibboleth is the naughty one.
Yeah.
Thank you. So that's right. So they have their roles there, but the Archon version of that would then be on the Kibboleth, where we're talking about the negative Tree of Life. Where they are the material corrupted, the flawed version of that greater absolute truth, but they are still a reflection of the truth. So in understanding the falsehood, you gain access to the truth. So in that way, I would make an argument that like Gnosticism is a little bit apathetic, or not apathetic. I'm saying the word wrong. Apothesis? Apathetic? I'm saying it right.
Yeah.
It's in that that we know things through negation. So by saying God is not this, or the truth is not what the archon is, I can understand what the unknowable truth is without having to know the unknowable truth. Would be my explanation of that. But how Gnostic-y that is a fair conversation.
Yeah, basically, it's better to it's easier to understand what God is not than whether what He is. Right. And so I basically built the whole book on the idea of the Tree of Life and how that connects to Kabbalah. So each chapter, even though it doesn't talk about initiation directly or anything like that, but kind of taking initiation. So each chapter represents a different sephira within the Tree of Life. At least that's how I put it. And that way you're taking in the first part of the light, your first initiation. This is the milk of what it means to be a Gnostic, rather than the milk of just being a Christian. Because one of my main theses on one of the main problems with is that there's not enough immersion, because of the orthodoxical traditions enforcing their ways of belief the way they did. And so now in this new age aspect of religion, you don't get that immersion like you used to. Like the pagans back then, they really believed they're gods, even though they had like metaphors for their understanding. But I feel that is happening too with Gnostics. You know, it's all just extreme metaphors and nothing that's literal at all. And I kind of feel like that's like the wrong way to go. And that's why I turned the book into initiation that way.
Yeah, I like that approach. I think, particularly, if I were to draw a meaningful line between Hermeticism and Gnosticism on a surface level, because I think some of what, like, Hope and what you're pulling in from, like, the milieu online is a confusion there. And fair enough, they're not all that crazy different, but they are very different. And I think one of the elements that I would emphasize is, like, Hermeticism and its cousins are primarily concerned with using magic, like their magic systems. Gnosticism is much more a theology that sounds like a New Age magic system.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit magic-y, but not really. And that's why, like, in my very heretical analysis of Christ, I'm talking about, so he's a Jewish person who is very clearly educated in Gnosticism and using Greco-Roman mystery rituals to facilitate his transformations. Like, that's how you need to understand this guy and his magic, is you need those three pieces and just slam them together, and okay, all this stuff starts to make sense.
Yeah, I would agree. You're basically taking, Greco-Roman mystery school practice, mixing it with Kabbalah, and then putting the, transformed Christian emphasis on it. And that's basically what gives you Gnostic spirituality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I like them.
Did you say earlier that you, prior to becoming a Gnostic, or maybe not becoming a Gnostic, but like fully taking on this agnostic path, you said that, did you say that you were in the Golden Dawn, or were like an initiate?
Yes, I was an initiate of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, and I made it up to 3 grades.
Oh wow. Okay. It's interesting. So do you would you still consider yourself a magician?
Yes, and here's why. Cooper is right that Gnosticism at its baseline is a theology. Totally true. But Gnostics still practice a magic. They I mean, it was theurgy, and I don't know, of course y'all know what theurgy is, but just to, give a definition,
Define it, please, because I get yelled at all the time.
So I would define theurgy as the mystical, or no, the magical practice of bothering God enough for him to act in the universe, or at least that's more of a traditional way to look at it.
Praying with aggression.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah. I mean, it's most of the magic that Catholics do. That's what we like, right? We've got our little candles. I got the rosary beads. I've got the special magic man who's going to pray with me. I've got my intercessors. Like, that's what. There's a reason that the magic's
is offerings
literally put God inside a piece of bread.
Is offerings a part of theurgy? Like, is it like a required component of theurgy, or is that just like an added bonus?
When you say offering, what?
Because I'm just thinking about this in terms of like planetary theurgy, or even when I feel like kind of what in the Old Testament, there's a lot of like offerings that are given. And when you do planetary theurgy, you have an altar and you have offerings for whichever deity you want to work with. So I'm just wondering if like that's where that comes from.
I wouldn't necessarily say that's where theurgy comes from. I think that like theurgy has
not
been around a lot than. I think that's really a pagan thing.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't know about. Well, okay, fair. If we're calling the Jews pagans, then yes. But Yahweh
Are we calling the
asks
Jews
for a
pagans right
lot
now? That's
cow sacrifice.
makes sense.
I mean, if
We
you
were.
ask me, the paganism never left. They just picked a new god king, and that's fine. Jesus is fun. He's sweet. He's nice. But I understand that is a very my perspective take.
Well, like in that way, that's how I start to really agree with a lot of the orthodoxical point of views of spirituality, is that I find to have syncretism, but I think that to have a coherent system, like I don't. Oh wow, that thunder is really crazy. Sorry.
No, it's a big storm.
But like the syncretism is cool and everything, but I think that what Jesus really trying to hint at whenever he's trying to continue the laws of the 10 Commandments and stuff, and he says, have no God before me, saying like have a coherent system on how you work with these spirits and how they interact with God. So if you put an offering on an altar, let it be to God, and of course you have the intercession of those forces, and you can put things in the off are correspondent to those forces. But I think it would be kind of a bad thing to start trying to give anything beyond God and an offering in a Gnostic point of view.
Right.
At least from my comprehension of it,
Right.
So in terms of like a strict magical element, the offerings are also part of thaumaturgy, or can be. It's a way to do it. The difference would be, so in a theurgistic ritual, I'm offering up the sacrifice to power the miracle, to power the intercession from the divine being. In a thaumaturgic ritual, I'm using the materials as a source of power right in front of me. So like, if we were to put it into very, 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 very goofy modern terms, theurgy is like hiring out. Thaumaturgy is like buying the raw materials and assembling it yourself.
Okay.
You're still
IKEA.
making the sacrifice, right? But who's doing the work is a little different.
So the reason why I was asking, if you were in the Golden Dawn prior to this, and if you would consider yourself a magician, is because I've been curious to know like what a Gnostic magician's practice would look like. Obviously, you don't have to go into any of the details of it, but is there any chance that you can kind of give us like an idea of like what elements you would use? What have you maybe like incorporated from your experience, with the Golden Dawn, and what do you use? Let's say your own like divination techniques, because I don't know if astrology is off the table for you, right? As a Gnostic, is there something else that you would use for that? Just curious.
So the first thing one must recognize when it comes to Gnostic magic is that, of course, all magic, at least most Western magic has the emphasis on banishment, but Gnostic magic takes it even further, and we turn banishment into full-on exorcisms. And so like almost every component that we're going to utilize in a Gnostic ritual should have some form of exit. So like say we're going to make holy water, we would exercise the salt and the water first and attune it and combine it to make it into one. And you kind of actually already see echoes of this in actual Catholic formulation of holy water. So that's something that's still carried through.
Okay.
Again, exorcism, yes, is very, very important. You're going to have a lot of emphasis on correspondence of the archons and their natures, especially when you're about to make something like a talisman, let's say. Instead of us doing something like the lesser ritual of the hexagram, like you would have in the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, we would do something that's more like what you would call a placation. And so a placation is something that looks like an evocation or an invocation, but it's basically telling the Archon, stop here. You have no authority. You're not allowed, and all of your influence is cut off here, except for those things that are complete within the pleroma.
Mhm.
Okay.
So
They're cheating.
so
It would be my very cynical take on it.
well, what I would say though is that there's basically two methods of invoking, right? Like you basically need to, like, the placating versus the invoking. You look at your chart and see how much you really kind of need to do that for any specific planet. If you're doing planetary magic for that, like it's kind of a like that's a thought in a lot of Vedic thinking, is that depending on the condition of the planet in your chart is how much you need to placate it versus how much you can command it, right?
Mhm.
And someone asked here, which is relevant. They asked quite a while ago, so I hope you're still watching because your question's finally linking into the subject. Someone says, Alex, could you expand on your take on the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, quote, microwaving one's spiritual space? This is something I said on X or Twitter a few days ago, a few weeks ago, something like this, where I talked about how so many people go overkill with the banishing, right? And they banish everything and they make their whole space sterile, and they eliminate even good and helpful spirits, like spirits that they've spent time building up. You know what I mean? Like they'll just like nuke them with this kind of stuff. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, why would you do that? So to me, I like to do targeted banishings. Like, you don't want to just banish everything. Like it's like, I don't know. I've only done that in situations where I'm like, okay, I need to just start over entirely, right? Like,
Sure. Sometimes you need to pour bleach on a mess. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'm interested. Like, why do you think the LBRP, microwaves your space? Because when I look at the LBRP, right, you're going into all the god names and stuff, like Horus, and you're forming the fiery pentagrams and things of that nature. But at the end, there's something very specific. You say, for about me flames the pentagrams, and above me shines a six-rayed star. The six-rayed star is very specific in the formulation because you don't want to nuke everything that in your space. So
It's why
go ahead.
No. I'm emphatically agreeing with, like, the LBR. This is not the ritual I would point to as like, oh, you guys are nuking shit, because people do it, but it's
more like a nuke, especially when they say Apapantos Kakadimos,
they're just walking around burning rosemary like willy-nilly. Oh, what? That's magic bleach, bitch. What are you doing? You just it's fine.
Right.
Okay.
With
So yeah,
no incantation.
A lot of people also half-ass these rituals, which is also maybe that's where I would start to get concerned, is like if you're not following and you don't understand what you're doing, it could be
you need a framework. I think that's like the main problem of magic today. And like that's the reason why I feel like, what is the right word? I put a lot of theology into my magic, because I think that theology is the perfect way to create a framework in your magic. Because as long as you have a first principle, that should guide the whole formulation of your spell work.
So I should add this as a caveat, is that I don't use Golden Dawn magic, and I don't use the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram ever, right? And this comment comes from the fact that other practitioners coming to me with problems as a result of using this, and I seen it mess things up for other people. Right?
Don't
I've
follow the
never
fucking
fucked
rules.
around with it, but I then end up having to like I've helped multiple other people out and taught them other things that they can do to accomplish the same shit that they weren't able to accomplish with the Golden Dawn's lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. And so that's why I'm dissing the rituals, because I've seen so many people fuck it up. And my shit works so much easier and better that I will just, tell people to do what I do instead.
If you don't want to do protractor magic, don't do protractor magic. But if you want to do protractor magic, you need to get the protractor out. Those angles need to be exact. It needs to be correct. So if you're going to do it.
I think that speaks to your level of mastery as well, Alex. Like, seriously, when a lot of people take on these banishments, they don't really realize what they're doing exactly, like Cooper is saying, and they're not, measuring out their angles. And so people will have like mirrors in the wrong place. People will not cover up their items with dark cloth and things of that nature. And they wonder, why is my talisman not working all of a sudden? Well, it's because you drew a flaming pentagram over it.
Why would you ever do that?
Well, that's why you cover it up. Yeah, you cover it up.
Know the rules.
That's that goes against any. Like, what if you had a magical bone in your body? You would know that was like absolutely ridiculous.
It's in the book.
Why would you do that? Why would you
cover the shit up? Because it will screw it up if you don't cover it up.
It's like you said, Alex. There's real idiots out here.
This is what people are doing. I can't believe
the New Age ruined everything. As soon as people thought anybody can read a book and do magic, whoo!
Yeah. I mean, that's why we had initiations, and that's why we had orders and stuff like that. I mean, I don't want to be a gatekeeper.
I'm a dirty natural magician. Not initiated properly, blah, 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 but it grew up Catholic, which you might as well initiate me into.
I've had some teachers that have taught me some like kind of ritual outlines, and then a lot of it is a lot of the specific ritual instructions I get from like dreams. That's where most of it comes from. So at this point, yeah.
So we're kind of pushing time here, and I don't know how many more slides we've got. But any mainline topics that you want to run through here, or do we want to open it up to a broader conversation, pull questions in from the chat, start spamming that as we work through our thoughts, guys?
Yeah, I think this is the end of the slide, to be honest.
Perfect.
Oh, well, we already went.
Yeah, there's only one more slide.
I was going to say, no, the last slide
is your slideshow.
Was Hope's question.
One more slide.
Was how do you use magic?
I know. That's so fucking cool. All right. Let's get back to that. Okay.
And chat, start sending in questions because I know you have them. Ask for definitions. Please don't be like nobody's gonna make fun. Maybe I will, but probably won't. So ask questions.
I kind of set up this page because, like I said, I thought agreeing a lot more than I thought, than it actually ended up being. So I set this up to be like, hey, this is how we're, but, so let me, to be honest, like, I think we really covered Gnostic magic pretty well, except for the fact that I would love to say is that from a Gnostic perspective, when we're doing magic, we're literally transforming our souls. So the other thing that from a Gnostic perspective, we have to be careful about just doing any kind of magic for anyone, or for any reason, because the energy that you are literally like pulling down into yourself and then drawing out again, to reverberate into the universe to be what you want it to be, is, like I said, coming through you. So your spirit is going to take a certain shape from that. Your soul is going to take a certain shape.
Yeah.
But besides that, though, like another thing that is similar, like when it comes to Golden Dawn magic, you have the vibration of words, right? And in the Gnostic context of these names are more like keys to a lock. So like one thing that always pops up whenever they're coming to me about Gnostic magic is like they say like in some text it says the vibrate EIO, but in another it will say that EIO is a archon. And so I have to tell them like, like at this point you probably don't vibrate it. Eventually you'll learn that when you use this name in a specific way within the ritual technology, it literally becomes like key for, and it opens up a specific heaven to pour out all of that goodness to you and things of that nature.
So this is a similar idea when you look at the Eastern ideas of mantras, right? So the idea behind mantras is that mantras are words that are so powerful that when you say them, even the gods have to pay attention to you, right? So it's kind of a similar thing with these holy names. And what you were talking about before when I was out about theurgy, where it's like, forcing God to listen to you, basically, right?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, no, motherfucker, you're gonna listen to me. I'm gonna call you over and over. You cannot block my number.
That's how he invokes the planets.
No, but I have them on speed dial. They all like me.
Yeah, they do like him. It's true. I can't help but notice, but that circle in the center of your altar, it looks kind of like spheres with where you've written not the planets, but we'll have Elohim in there, Messiah in there. Interesting. I thought I saw an aeons, but I see no aeons in there, which is interesting. Could you kind of go through that with us?
Yeah, so actually that's very astute of you. So what's going on here is that what I am working with are archangels. And so from a Gnostic perspective, or at least from my tradition of Gnosticism, we see the archangels a equal opposite to the archons. So kind of, well, I wouldn't say equal opposite because, the archons are not completely evil, but the archangels are completely good. They won't trip you up unless you're evil yourself, unless you got some kind of corruption inside you and they tried to rectify it in some way. And so the thing is too is that from our perspective, the archangels and the realm of the angels are created from the archons. They're not of the like, so like specifically in the I believe it's the treaties or the hypostasis, it speaks of Yaldabaoth and the archons, and it talks about how they created literally 365 different angels, and of course, an angel for every day of the year.
Whoa! And the angels are kind of like this immune system of the cosmos.
Basically.
Yeah. I would talk about them more as like observers of the archon's will, but yeah. I talk about angels as the maintaining intelligence. The intelligence is the word that I would use, but yeah, it's not. They keep things in order, as I would talk about them. That's not always a good thing.
Yes, but okay, so when we're speaking about the angels, we have to keep in mind it was the angels who told us that Christ was coming. And angels are also the ones that came down and saved the Hebrews every time. Every time there was judgment passed upon the Hebrews, it was always like, I don't want to say a direct experience of Yaldabaoth, but it was some way. But every time that the nations or the Israelites received healing from God, it was always from an angel that gave them instruction.
This is where I have to disagree with all of this, right? Because in my personal experience, when I really, really, really need it, God, angels, intelligences, powers, none of them are worth a shit. None of them are there for me. The only thing that's ever got me through in like those dire moments is my own magic and like my own like basically irrational will. Like there's no like these like all of these things are not they all have their own agenda, right? And yeah, all the like someone says that's why I'm suspicious of God, because he's like, oh yeah, I'm on everyone's side. It's like, how can you be on everyone's side, bro? Like, how does that even work? Like, that's someone says that to me, and I immediately think, all right, what's your scam? What are you after? Right? So that's I have an inherently kind of paranoid, suspicious view of the universe. And to me, like, you know, I've been in moments where I thought I'm gonna die. I pray to God, nothing fucking happens. Then I like rely on myself, and all of a sudden I save my own ass. And so it's like, you know, I don't know. Like there have been a few times where it's been like divine deliverance, but like even then, even when it's like when God saves me, I still take a massive hit, right? But when I do it, like I get out scot-free. So it's like I don't know, God is this force out to like it wants the universe to be predictable, I think. Like
So
there's this
pissed.
Well, the thing is that we're going back into that idea of the different monad and the archon, you know, Yaldabaoth. You know, God, you know, you can pray to God, but it doesn't mean that that's the actual God that you're praying to. You know, like there's, you know, of course, from a Gnostic perspective, has a specific formulation.
I've tried them all, dude. I've tried every single one. Like they don't work.
Aren't you the one who said you don't believe in anything and you don't hold any authority to be true? And then you're shocked that when you go to those authorities and ask for their help, they said, fuck you, buddy. You want to do it all by yourself and you only believe in yourself? Then maybe pull yourself up by your bootstraps is their response. That shocks you.
But I would say, though, that the true God wants you to do that. Because relying on any force outside yourself is not him.
Right.
Because God is within you.
And you
so
have the ability
I'm accidentally on the right path despite my own like idiocy and imbecility.
Welcome to the Gnostic universe, my dude.
We have a phrase called holy heretic for a reason. You know?
It's in there.
Like he's cracked up at this. He loves this shit.
I listen to him talk about this shit all day. So it's just it's funny to watch him come to new revelations and conclusions that are so contrary to all
He's
the
like,
shit.
Holy shit, do I believe in Jesus?
No. I mean, no.
You should fucking believe in me.
He believes in Jesus.
You should believe in Cooper.
No.
You should believe in
the
him.
flip side of believing in
He believes
nothing
in Cooper
is
too.
that you can believe
does
in
he?
everything.
Because he hasn't bothered to read that book that he wrote full of channeled knowledge and everything that you have said. It sounds like you're reading from my book to argue with him, but you haven't finished the chapter, so you don't get to the point where, like, actually the thoughts can sit parallel to each other.
Well, that's because the book's knowledge is only absorbed into my subconscious because I slept with it. I didn't actually read it.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah, clearly, right?
It's coming out.
Who was that? Edward Casey, who said that he's done books into his mind?
That sounds
yeah,
I
do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I do that too.
Yeah, I do that too. I did that with Cooper's book and also had Magic Dreams. So,
well, now I'm gonna have to
a
get
real
Cooper's
deal.
book.
You guys could open the book, so then you'd have magic knowledge too.
I've opened it. By the way, I did it with a Kindle, not even a physical piece of, it wasn't even a physical book. It was a Kindle. So, Kindles work.
I do write in the beginning of the book that the book is a spell, and I'm enchanting you by purchasing it. I figure most people won't read that until after they bought the book, but that's their business.
Well, you know, that's exactly why I made my last chapter the way it was. I'm like, if they know it's all about Kabbalah, I'm pretty sure they're not going to buy a single thing.
I couldn't write. This book is an initiatory ritual, and I need you to buy it and read it to preserve my magic tradition into the future in case it dies out and I need it to be resurrected by some nerds in the future.
Opa.
I couldn't write that. People wouldn't buy the book then. So, you know, it's in there.
It's just chaos magic all over again, you know?
Yeah. God bless Oscar.
This was really fun, by the way.
It really was. I was so
Thank you
nervous
so
from the
much.
beginning.
I think that it was a lot of healthy conversations, and I love everyone's getup. It's really cool to Cooper. You really sounded like a priestess at a few different
Well,
points.
So
I know, I was like,
feel like we do.
I am
Before we go though.
more of a Catholic apologist than I like to admit.
Yeah, you are.
It's funny
before
too
we go,
because
though, I feel like I do have to address one thing,
Whoa.
which is this tweet that you posted here. You replied to me, and you said that I was the second coming of Jesus or some shit like that.
yes, and I said it with full authority.
Yeah.
as a
Here we
Gnostic.
go. It's like, oh yeah. I have Alex. I have news for you. The second coming. Yeah. Here we go.
You heard
All
it here
right,
first,
all right.
folks.
All right. So what do you mean by this? Like what is the meaning of this? I have to know. Like what? Yeah.
So I had a vision, you know, the night before, and you know, don't play games, Alex. Like we all know, you came to me in your true light body, and you said, "Behold, I will be the heathens," and I was like, "Jesus," and you said, "I am," and I was like, "Well, I'm sold." So I had to inform you just in case you didn't know.
If any of us are Jesus on this podcast, it's me. And I will fight you.
This is where the war starts.
Dude, no.
Is this how the war starts between you guys?
No.
You've been predicting this for a while.
He
Oh,
could be Lucifer Jesus, but I'm Nazareth Jesus, okay?
Oh shit! Hey, this is how it starts. Everyone, you saw your post.
That's crazy.
Malefic
crazy.
new moon.
Hope-
Malefic Aries new moon.
Hope can be
Crazy.
Sophia. Hope can be
Yeah.
Sophia, and I can
You-
be
Yeah.
Muslim, and I'll be Muslim Jesus.
Yeah,
Look,
you'll be Muslim.
That works.
I'm not Jesus, but I do my best to try and embody what I feel like the Christ impulse is, and I give things away all the time, and
Oh my God, you're
but I get
radiant.
it for free. That's why. That's why I get it all for free. So why not give it away? So you people like to and because of this generosity, people can elevate me, but I really don't like that. I don't appreciate that. It makes me uncomfortable, and I don't want to be. It's not. I'm just doing my best to. I'm just doing my best to figure things out, right? And I'm not, I can do fun things, but the thing is that I'm flawed too. I abuse my powers all the time. I do it for my own amusement, right? I do stupid things. Like, I don't know, Jesus didn't like, make the clerk give him a discount at the gas station because he thinks that price
You
is
should
too
read
much.
some of the Gnostic Gospels.
I was gonna
He
say.
does, in fact.
Maybe he does do that. Does he do
He
that?
does.
Oh, I mean, there's even there's even Islamic
Yeah.
text
Mhm.
of when Jesus was young, he supposedly killed pushing him off a roof.
Yeah, there's a
And
reason
then
that the Christian
resurrected
Bible
him.
skipped over. He goes from a baby to a grown-ass man. Yeah, there's a reason.
Yeah, out of
Right,
nowhere.
right. So
I don't
the
know.
thing is that like, right, the funny thing is that thing that you guys are saying is that there's been a few different people that have witnessed me Do planetary magic and invocation, hope being one of them, where I invoke the sun and then they get a vision of Jesus Christ. Right. And she's one of the ones that's seen it. There's 2 other people that have seen it when I've been present when I'm doing magic. And like, so when I invoke the sun, they get a vision of Jesus. Now, I don't know. I don't know what that means. But I mean, I like Jesus. I always feel an affinity toward like Jesus. I feel like the message of Jesus is lost to people, like people, because the thing that always sticks out to me, the number one thing in the Bible that has stuck out to me when I've read it twice, the New Testament, all the way through. And the thing that stuck out to me is when Jesus gives the Lord's Prayer, right? In basically in the stanza preceding him giving the Lord's Prayer, he says, "Do not pray as the heathens do," right? Instead, follow my thing here. And then he gives the Lord's Prayer. And what he's basically saying there is like, don't follow some kind of rote prescription. You should try and have a personal relationship with God, or a personal like reaching out and like making this petition on your own behalf. But instead, everyone misinterprets it and then just copies. And then we get the Our Father, right? And so to me, the Our Father is itself as a prayer is kind of like profanes the message of Jesus, because what Jesus was really saying was that you should have a personal relationship with God, not just copy some rote, followed thing, and these saying these certain words give you access to God. No, it's the fact that you are a human. That's what gives you access to God. Not the fact that you can say the magic words and all of this, is that you have a right to access it. And so, but that is the note. Like, to me, the fact that everyone just copied the Our Father showed me that everyone missed Jesus's entire point. And like, no one really understands what he was trying to say. And, so I like Jesus because I feel like he's misunderstood, and his own followers are like, I don't know. Yeah. It's like,
My
it's
favorite
like,
bit.
like a really cool indie band like blows up for like a pop hit, and then like, they get consumed by people like wanting them to produce something else.
Or copies the sound. Yeah. I totally agree. I mean, like you said, like whenever Jesus gave the Our Father, he says, pray like this, not this, like pray this. He says, pray like this. And so you're completely right. Like, even in, in my church, my order, we've, worded the Our Father. And, if you allow me, I would like to recite it now.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes. That sounds great.
Okay, it goes. Emanator of living light, shine in us and show us the way. Return us to your oneness through our fiery hearts and willing hands. Make our desires align with yours. Give us this day gnosis and bread, for we are not sustained on bread alone. Unbind from our guilt, unbind others from our blame. Let us not be forgetful or forgotten, but free us from naivety. From you came sovereignty, discipline, and the poetic beauty of life that was, is, and is to come. May these words be our nature, sealed in trust, faith, and truth. Amen.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, that was great. I can feel it. I can feel the that feels very good. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you
for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for sharing that with us. I really appreciate that.
I appreciate you for letting me share it, and I appreciate y'all for letting me be here. I mean, like there's a lot of contention for some reason. I think it's because of the the wrong understanding of Gnosticism, but there's a lot of contention between people who come from my sect and normal normal occultist, and it makes me sad because like we could be friends.
Yeah, so the
because they
problem
can't read.
is
That's the problem.
The problem is that like a lot of people that are involved in astrology are very like, liberal, Democrat, like, types.
That's not
And
a problem. I'm sitting
Gnosticism
right here.
is online used by people like these right-wing conspiracy theorists often use Gnosticism and themes of Gnosticism in their videos, right? And so
Nazi version.
when people are online, they can get this misconception of, because they see it associated with this like right-wing schizo bullshit, right? Like,
You know what's ironic about that? Praise be to Charlie Kirk, everyone. But before he passed, but before he passed, that dude, I used to time, and I would be like giving him this like diatribe.
You were emailing Charlie Kirk? What the fuck?
Yeah, because all he did was talk about Gnosticism.
And incorrectly.
Yes, and so like
And
I
very
would get
loudly.
so heated. Like you can see it now.
So
like I even get frustrated.
I never paid attention to Charlie Kirk because he was like so much less interesting than like I always liked Candace Owens. Candace Owens was my favorite of the right wing Trump age influencers. Like I kind of unironically like Candace Owens. Like I probably would have a lot of fun with her if I met her. Like I think I don't know. She's crazy, and some of the things she says are out there, but I don't care. Like I
you guys would be best.
I think we would have so much fun. I really like her. I think she's cool. So, but like some of the things she says, I definitely don't agree with. But I do
She's
like
a Taurus,
Candace Owens.
by the way, which tracks.
She's
that's right.
Rectify Candace
Tauruses
Owens
are either brilliant
and she's a
or
Leo
absolutely
rising and Taurus
stupid.
sun.
It's true.
And
There's
like
no
I've had like
in-between.
multiple relationships with people that are Leo rising, Taurus sun. Like that's a combination that's repeated before for me. So it's like, yeah.
My
She's
feelings
Leo
about
rising, Taurus sun.
Charlie versus Candace is crazy and fun. She's telling a story. Charlie just argued with children and children who couldn't read and grew up in Bush's education system. So they didn't even have a chance. He at least grew up before that. So he knew how to read already. So going to a college campus with kids who can't read, you're going to win the argument. It's not hard. Candace argues with actually intelligent people and doubles down, and that's where I'm like,
I love
I ironically like her, and for that very reason, she just.
I have always said, if you're going to be racist, be racist. If you're going to be a shitty person, be a shitty person. Don't hide it. Don't pretend that you don't feel that way. Just own your view.
I have tweeted this.
No, that wasn't encouraging to you. That was a generic
and Candace Owens is right about everything. That is on my 2026 bingo card and has been since like February that Candace Owens is right about everything.
I still don't think she's right about the transvestigation that we did.
2026 bingo card, right, guys?
We did that video and I still think she's wrong, Alex. I do not think she's right. I think she's right about a lot of the other stuff. I think she's right about Charlie Kirk was assassinated.
Charlie Kirk was sacrificed in an occult ritual so that people can contact his spirit in the nether realm and get information.
That wasn't magic. I tweeted that, and I will go back and pull the tweet. Because literally that day I was like, "Oh, cool! This is a magic ritual."
The astrology. Did you all see the astrology for the day?
Yes, that's. Again, my account is on lock, and I very, very rarely let anybody follow me. But if you got in early, you've been getting it straight from the divine, man. Ugh.
Yeah, I love Candace Owens' whole, the occultist arc she's going through, finding 33 everywhere.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
It's amazing. She was talking about
everything I wanted.
When she was talking about how Charlie Kirk was visiting her in her dreams, I believed her.
Yes. Oh,
yes. Wholeheartedly, I was like, of course that's happening to you. Like, that would happen to you. That, I don't know. Then everyone calls her crazy. And to me, that was a moment that kind of brought me over a little bit. I was like, okay. I think I'm going to pay attention to what this lady is saying.
So, now, if anyone is inclined to listen to Candace Owens based on my recommendation, you should also keep in mind that I also am a fan of Rush Limbaugh, all right, because of how he would because how he would antagonize people, and he would get like the callers in his show, especially the people that were calling in to try and troll him. He would wind them up and make them rage quit. Like the people that were calling in to troll him, he made them rage quit. That's mastery, right? So, basically you can espouse like whatever abhorrent shit you want, but if you are good at putting on a good show, I'll be your fan, right?
It's really crazy because everyone always calls like Trump a magician. I don't want to say everybody, but who is that one woman
on this channel? They do.
Oh, okay. Well, okay.
Yeah, you're in
the
good
people
company.
The people who know.
Yeah, you're in good
that's what I should
company.
say. Yeah. Okay.
Trump is a magician. He's a decent chaos magician. He's like basically he's mid-tier. He's mid-tier at best. Mid-tier at best.
I honestly think it's more organized than that, and I think that Trump is a personification of Mercury, and that's why he swings.
I hate that. That's a good read.
So often.
That's why
Trump is hilarious, right? So, like that is a representation. Whenever I invoke Mercury, I always get pranks played on me and like stuff like that. It's always like jokes, right? And so, Trump is always like, I have this thing with Trump where if we had just like, if more of us had tuned in to The Apprentice and really appreciated what we had in that show, then like we wouldn't be in this timeline.
True.
Right?
Candace Owen would have been on the show.
The Apprentice and recognized Trump for what he was there, then he wouldn't have this like bottomless hole in the pit of his heart, right? And so really it's a failing on us. Like Trump is just this like big, gigantic, fat, like stupid baby, right? That we didn't love enough, right? And so of course we can't just, shoot him in the face. That wouldn't be right, would it?
Well, my thesis, like, I don't know if y'all, but I order from the beginning, but it was only because I was like really want to like stick it to the man type of thing, and I saw the mercurial resonance of Trump. You know what I mean? So I had the feeling that if enough of us that were like could concentrate our will,
you thought you could control the KO.
Yeah. Yes,
I know you did, because so did Steve Bannon. So did all you bitch. Again, if you've been following for a hot minute, way back when, and somebody recently was like, I can't believe people didn't talk about how Trump was in chaos magic. I was like, bitch, you're new here. Let me go back to 2018 yeah. Because your friend was talking about it and yapping about how it's Pepe magic and everybody thinks that they're going to control the KO, but he is going to control all of you. And he's very, very, very good at that. And lo and behold, here we are.
I definitely did not watch Apprentice enough.
This is the bad thing about being truly Jovian, is as soon as I smell Mercury, I know something bad is about to happen.
Are you guys all saying that there were a group of magicians that saw the potential in Trump and saw the type of instrument that he could be, and we're all invoking and using your own magic to try and steer him?
So yes,
my order was literally casting spells over Trump.
Yeah, and Trump was actively telling people to do that.
All right, so the faction that is backing Trump is the old school, like aerospace, NASA, CIA, like Wall Street.
The true temple of Set.
Basically, like the Project Paperclip when we brought Nazis over from Germany. Then they implanted in the quote unquote deep state in things like NASA and Wall Street law firms and
like the New Age
and the aerospace industry, right? And this is one faction of the deep state, and this is what is currently in support of Trump. And this is the faction that supports the American empire, right? And on the other faction that you have is the new tech, the Silicon Valley, right? And so for a long time, these were the people propping up Clinton and Obama and the neocons and all of that. And the thing you have with Trump now is that there's been people from the tech community that have gone rogue, right? You had the Peter Thiel, right? And people like this that have gone rogue and have jumped ship from the Silicon Valley Democrat side and have joined up with the old school fascists, from NASA and the aerospace and Wall Street and all of this. And this is the perverse monster that is ruling the world and is murdering, genociding thousands, millions of people all around the world, doing the most evil shit you can imagine, right? So, this is the enemy, right? And we must oppose this because it's anti-human and it's just, but this is what.
If only we had.
But the thing is that the opposition is no better because
tweet every thought I have. Share every single one of them. I hate being right all the time because people don't fucking listen.
What, you think they don't already have? I've been on their fucking lists since God knows how long, dude.
My favorite was during the first Trump election. People on occult Twitter at the same time, half of them were calling me a self-hating Jew, and then half of them were like, "You're a dirty," slurs for Jewish person, and then the other half were like, "You're a fucking Nazi piece of shit." Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, "What's crazy is I actually don't like either side of you, and you both are completely wrong about who I am." But I think it's very, very fun listening to these people attempt to try and diagnose anything magical or political because they don't know their ass from their mouth, and they spew a lot of shit. And it's very frustrating for me. So that's why I made a bunch of enemies with everybody's faves, because they were like, this is fine and everything's going to be good. And I was like, or you could look at the astrology for the next 8 years and use half a brain and maybe figure out what the fuck's going to happen. But people don't like to be sad.
The thing is that the thing that people don't understand is that the internet and technology in and of itself is fascist, right? And it comes from the CIA. And the CIA is involved in basically creating the internet, funding Google, funding all of these things. And so the thing is that this was the right-wing extent of the deep state's play for power. And it worked because by creating the fake left-wing technocrat, like Silicon Valley stuff, and getting all of that to fund the Democrats and make the Democrats give up any kind of support to unions or any kind of real genuine left-wing power, then it took everything further right. And so really the internet is why we live in a techno-fascist control grid, and it's going to come online. It's already in its nascent form. Anyone that doesn't see this coming in, it's gonna I'm just getting out ahead of things because I already know I'm gonna be an outlaw in whatever the fucking new system is. So I'm saying, fuck you guys, come and get me. There'll be other people with me helping because I know there's other people that don't want to live in this kind of bullshit. And we'll develop our own way.
I mean, that's their fundamental problem, right? Is there's too many other people, and that remains their fundamental issue and has been for a hot minute. So, do we want to answer a couple of these questions in the chat before we run? Or I know we're at hour 3.
Question from the chat from Harsh Noise Angel says, "Let's hear Hope's Matrix thing."
How the moment this week?
Well, don't explain. Basically, I don't give away you can't say what.
Yeah. So, this week we were just doing some astrology, and pretty consistently making the principles of this technique that we were using was working every single time. And there was just a moment in that little work session that we were having that I was like, oh shit, we're living in the Matrix. Because what we were doing was we were seeing who wins, who loses type of thing. And
don't Yeah,
Yeah.
basically,
So it was a binary answer that we were looking for, right? It's
basically
like
her
yes or
mind's
no.
blown by the astrology that we're working on, right? Like that's as far as we can say.
Yeah. And
All right,
and so
all right.
during that work session, it was very, very clear that it worked, whatever it was, you know, the thing that we were doing. And there was just a moment where I think that this whole concept of like determinism versus free will has been haunting me since I was around 21 years old. And I always go back and forth on it, from being like a staunch determinist to being like a staunch agent, having a belief that I have agency. But yeah, it was just another one of those moments where I was like, oh shit, so much of this is set. And that happens to you as an astrologer as you do your practice and get better and start to really see patterns consistently. You are confronted with the question of how much of this is determined. Is it all of it? You know, and I think like ever since entering into like my like magic era, I have started to realize, I think there's more free will to this than there would be on like the default setting in our modern day era.
Yes.
So I definitely, because we've talked about this, I think that there was a point where I changed timelines. And I think that's kind of one of my like main beliefs that, I must have some free will because this really doesn't seem like what should have happened, but it did. And now everything is different. So that's the Matrix thing.
Yeah. So basically, Cooper, she was saying to me that you know, my mission seems to be to, in your schema, to illuminate astrology, right? Which will then give it less power over us, right? It will like kind of, you know, make it stop working as well, right? Like that's what she proposed
Sort
to
of,
me, and
but
I
astrology is
said
not
that
based
wasn't-
on mystery, so no. I would talk about
Yeah.
astrology as the magic of illumination. So illuminating astrology doesn't weaken it. That's why I talk about it as such a weak magic, and I talk about astrological magic as baby magic. Like I think it's where everyone should start because it's the easiest and it's the safest and it's the hardest to fuck up because you're working with tertiary powers as opposed to anything direct.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for clearing that up for me.
It makes sense why it was so easy for me to pick up after doing other things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you've learned a proper magical tradition and then you go learn astrological magic, you're like, wait, what?
Perfectly, and I was like, wow, I thought that was going to be harder.
Yeah, no, it's good magic. It works. I don't mean baby magic as in it's crap. I just mean it's accessible because it is a magic of illumination. So logic helps. You can just logic your way through it.
Yeah, it's funny because like I bring up astrology a lot because that was like one of my big like Gnosis pills. Like, oh yeah, we really are controlled by archons. You know what I mean? Because
the astrologer to occultist pipeline is real.
So the thing is that I only got into astrology kind of as like a investigation into free will and like what was hampering it, because I was the kind of introduction I had to magic when I was 19 was this brand of chaos magic that wouldn't even really, it was even more scientific kind of transposed than Peter Carroll and that kind of thing. Even more leaning into that angle. And that was my first exposure to any of this kind of stuff. So I've had to reckon with it, and astrology is something where I'm all the time looking to see how I can like game it, right? And how I can make it manifest differently. So if it's like, all right, if this says that, like, if your chart says that you're gonna you're gonna have an injury, or you're gonna get into a fight or an altercation, maybe you like, go and spar with your teacher in like martial arts and something, and get the beating out there, and so that there's not it doesn't manifest in some other way, right? Like there's all these different ways you can kind of, because I really don't think that astrology is completely set. I think it represents the potentiality, and then it's like, if you don't exercise your will, then there is this default thing that will happen, but like you could channel it into something else.
I think you're completely right.
Yeah.
I think that's like kind of like the Gnostic thesis, if you want to take it like to a metaphysical place. It's like, the stars can rule you, but you can also choose to rule yourself.
Yeah, I like William Lilly's quote, the stars incline, they do not compel.
I like that a lot.
Who was that again?
Actually.
William Lilly. He's Christian astrology.
Yeah, he was basically very early on in the Renaissance, one of the big astrologers. He was dealing with fragments from the Hellenistic and the Arabic stuff that he had translated, and he was going off of incomplete records, but he still had a lot more than people may think. And Lilly's stuff,
Christian astrology is great.
Basically considered an authority. He's basically the first quote unquote modern astrologer, right? Like, so William Lilly is basically the birth of what you would call modern astrology.
If you're trying to learn horary, I would still stick with Christian astrology as like the oldest text that's accessible to a modern reader. Is probably, I think Lilly is where you're starting to push it. Even like John Dee, I think, is too weird. Maybe.
I love Lilly. I use Lilly all the time in references for my magic. Like a lot of the cues I take, he mentions a lot of things about the planets that don't just pertain to, horary or other types of astrology. He goes into all these different things, and some of the magical resources in Lilly are very good because he takes a compendium of basically everything he has at that point and puts it all together. So, Lilly's good for magical reference too, in terms of, the nature of things. I like Lilly. I think it's good. He's good.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I wish I knew more about astrology. That's something that's probably one of my weakest points, and it's literally not even to do with my logical stance. Said I was a pagan before, but to be honest, I don't know why I haven't studied astrology as intense of other aspects. But the more I look at astrology, I really do think, like all of y'all are pretty much saying, it's a fundamental you really do need to know. Like, I mean, I'm saying that as like, I don't want to say I'm a Gnostic with it, like someone who practices Gnosticism that believes in it, like is saying like, you do got to know astrology.
Well, so like if life is a simulation, right? If it is a bad game of Sims, astrology can tell you where the unskippable cutscenes are, right?
Yeah. And that there are cutscenes. It's like,
and they are unskippable. They're definitely
we
not
cover how to
skippable.
control choice and circumstance and the balance of that all through the first chapter, and I explain that underpins the logic of magic and how you can use this tertiary, weaker form of magic to understand how direct will works. If only there was a wonderfully written book by a curly-haired homosexual that covered all of this. I'm such a salty bitch. I knew people didn't read it because the people who did read it were like, I got through like 5 pages and it took me 4 days. And I was like, how did that happen? And then last week's presentation, which took us 4 hours, was about 10 pages of the book. So I guess I do understand. But still, I'm just saying, listeners, if you like what they're saying, you're going to love what I wrote. Chat, bother our guest before we let him go. I think it's probably about time. We've already held you longer than we said we would. But anyone else have any questions, concerns, comments, quick cues? Where can we find you, by the way?
Oh,
promote the book, but hit those tags, give us the ads. What do you got going on?
Yes. You can find Paradise Transcended pretty much anywhere you find your books, Amazon, Books A Million, all those places.
I got a copy on Amazon.
I'm gonna order it right now. Oh, you ordered one?
Yeah, I have a copy of it.
Sorry, I'm gonna read his.
No, it's okay. Well, thank you so much. And you can also find me as Elders and Raya on X, and you can also find me on YouTube as Gnostic Revival. I know it's a lot of names, but
So Elders and Raya on X and Gnostic Revival on YouTube.
Yes, correct.
Awesome. Okay, great. Anything else? Yeah, we will be purchasing.
It's been so much fun, guys. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this has been a fun
episode.
This
has been a great job.
Yeah, this has been really cool.
Yeah.
I
feel like a lot of the back and forth and like really trying to, understand each other's points and kind of explaining, listening to everyone come in with their different like perspectives and finding the junctures in which you agree and where new information comes through. I learned so much. This was really, really interesting. Now to me, Gnosticism seems so much more approachable. And I have always said that it's my plan B in case plan A doesn't go my way. So
what's plan A?
Plan A is to evolve.
Follow the horizon.
To follow the horizon. So
girl, that's the right answer while I'm sitting here. You tell the truth where I'm not looking.
It's true. It's to self-ascend and to self-actualize and evolve. So, but then if I end up in deep shit, I'm gonna go to plan B.
Time for those Gnostic exorcisms.
Okay, get out.
If we make a full group shift to Mormonism, I just want you all to know that we were bought out. And we are for sale, and I know the Mormons have money. Again, I will bring the gays in. And if you bring the gays in, Mormons, you win.
I like
all the
my condition for selling out is I want an entertaining character. I want to be like, like Alex Jones or someone like that.
I'm the prophet of this current era, I will give you a fun role. You're gonna get at least
to be
20 missionaries to boss around.
Provocateur.
I won't let you sexually abuse them, but pretty much anything short of that. Like I heard
don't
about
really
Lizzo did her dance team, and I was like, "Your performance."
You ruined me here, right? You think that's not.
I didn't. I'm not saying
to be willing, right?
That.
They need to be willing. Okay.
I'm just saying I wouldn't allow it.
I don't.
But I would allow you to like beat them and stuff. That whatever. Yeah, I'm. At Mormonism, I can only change so much. Dude, it's me. I'm the one who needs to bring the gays into the Mormon church. It's me. But it will cost a lot of money for me to lie for a living. So
you know what's ironic about that? Like, before the show, I said, I was raised RLDS and everything, but my husband was actually baptized in the Mormon church before he met me. I'm kind of the reason why he's not a Mormon anymore. Yeah.
Wow.
No, that tracks.
That missionary got him.
Does track.
Yeah,
Missionary got him.
Yeah. Says your husband's from like Ecuador or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
he
In South America, said that he get converted. His family get converted by the missionaries because they go to the Mormons go to South America so much. They send so many of their missionaries to South America. It's crazy.
They're
I've
trying
actually
to called
compete
them
with
out for
Catholics.
that.
Christians
Yeah.
too.
They're really bad too about the immigrants who come here who don't know English. It's really terrible. They manipulate them in that way.
Well, they only let black people be people like 50 years ago. So 40 really.
Oh yeah.
Can't be
Before,
perfect.
Like 1978 or something. If you were black, you couldn't be a priest.
It was
in the
when
Mormon
college
church.
basketball became profitable. Oh wow, what a coincidence!
It was like the Mormon priesthood was one of the like last socially desegregated groups, like in our society. Like they were one of the last ones to desegregate the Mormon priesthood. Right? It was like 1978 or some shit like
I'm
that.
bringing gays
right?
in.
Like
And don't even bring up
everybody
women.
else desegregated everything else. They finally did it.
I would like the Mormons watching this podcast, none of you, to advocate for me to be your next prophet. I will bring coffee back. I will bring coffee back, and I'll bring the gays in. You've got the lost blood of Brigham Young here, and I'm cute.
God, it makes me so sick to death that you are a descendant of Brigham Young. I cannot it's because I was raised by I look at you and all I see is devil horns. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Same. It's the family lore. I grew up believing that Mormons were like the most evil people ever, because the whole family story is that my great grandfather is his half brother, and he goes Mormon, and he's like, no, we changed the family name, completely cut them off. So I grew up very Irish Catholic and very much like Mormons are devil worshippers. They are trying to bring God down. Like they falsify the truth. They're trying to become gods. They're evil. You can't trust them. But again, I will sell out. I am for sale. I think the same thing about the Catholics.
I don't know how y'all feel about this, but it's really funny because people think that Zionism come to America through evangelism, but that's not the truth. It's actually coming through Mormonism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well,
what a shock that the people who did all the shit they did.
Don't get me started on this subject.
Okay, we're already 20 minutes past. This cannot just be Cooper Yells About Mormonism, but I'm open to that episode. Again, thank you so much. But I think probably we should let you go because we're about to get you talking problematic here, I think.
Yeah.
Especially when Hope walks out of the room. Now you've just got two devils on your shoulder. It's real dangerous in here.
I mean, you bring up Mormonism, something's bound to happen.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was really fun. I thank you for coming on the show. Yeah, it's Elder Zimraya. Go buy his book, everyone. And buy Cooper's book too. Buy all our books. I don't have a book. You can just follow me on Twitter.
It's good for you.
What?
Although if you're watching this, you probably are a reader. So good on you.
I was saying, get a reading from Alex.
Oh no!
I'm gonna purchase your talisman.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah. I'm people have been bugging me about when I'm going to do readings again, and basically the answer is that I have too many things I'm trying to do right now to do the natal readings and give them like the full diligence that they're due. Like I like to, it's a process, and I like to be able to devote a certain amount of time to it, and I don't know, because I do the whole technical analysis, but then I like to sit with it's a whole thing. And I just, my life right now is it's going through too much change to be able to accommodate that kind of stuff right now. So yeah, she's moved in with me. So basically, I don't know when I'm going to do readings again. maybe at some point before, the summer's over, hopefully. I don't know, maybe. Who knows? I do like doing readings, but I am gonna be releasing some talismans. That'll be something. If you want to buy something from me, you can get some of this magic that's gonna come out soon. So yeah, keep an eye out for that.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Which
But-
one's
Well,
The Mars
Well,
and the
from
Venus
us.
ones. We've made some Venus ones. So I've been me and Hope made these Venus talismans, and they're like these, we're both wearing them right now. And they're very, I've been just selling them to just people that ask me for it because when we made it, it was very potent, and it seemed like this talisman's more powerful than a lot of the others I've made, and I've just been a bit wary about giving it out to people, just because magic is unpredictable, right? And I just kind of wanted to be sure that it has the effects that I want. I always test my talismans like repeatedly with myself and with people I know before I sell them to people. And so here I've been selling them to people that have been asking me a lot, and these have gotten like the best reviews of any. Like they're like universally, like not just like, oh, this is good, but like wow, like they're so
I want to
those
tell
will
them
be coming
about
out. Oh yeah.
So I have my sister has been going through a bit of a rough time recently, and I had both of my Venus talismans on when I saw her, and I was like, hey, like I have these. She's not like really into magic or anything. She's pretty much a muggle. She's not an NPC, but she's pretty much a muggle. And I was telling her, I was like, hey, you should wear my talismans. They'll make you feel better. So she wore the Venus and Libra one, and she wore the Venus and Taurus one as well. And I saw her about maybe 5 days later.
It was a week later, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, like 5 days to a week later, something like that. And I saw her and I was like, hey, like, how are you? How was your week? How have you been? And she was like, I've been pretty good. And she was like, and actually, like everything that I needed to go my way went my way this week. And I got all the yeses that I needed to. And I've been feeling so supported and all these really nice things. And Alex, I think, was maybe with me that night.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, and I told him, I was like, yeah, Alex and we made the bangle, and he made the bracelet. And my sisters, by the way, are both like they're both muggles, they don't understand what planetary theurgy is. They don't really understand. They kind of understand the planets and astrology, but not really. They have a very like basic elementary.
Well, basically,
understanding
like
of it.
Hope was asking for the talismans back, and then they were disappointed. They're like, oh, well, I want one, and they're like turned to me like, well, do you have any more? And I did happen to have 2 of them in my pocket.
You're practically begging him for it.
Yeah. And these were ones that I was planning on keeping for myself, right? Because I always keep some back for myself, right? But they really wanted, they were like, asking me like, oh, please, can we have it? And so, of course I gave it to them.
So he gave it to them.
I mean, it's better off. I mean, what? I'm going to keep it from someone that really wants it? That's not Venus.
Well, also, what a great way to start off a relationship with your partner's family as well. Like,
Oh, yeah. Here's some witchcraft.
I have 2 in my pocket, but fuck you both. Yeah, good, like, great. Why, I'd say you went the right course.
But yeah, they're both very excited and reaping the benefits of it. It's really cool.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah.
I feel like that's what this is all about.
Fantastic.
Like, you know, of course, like it's to better our lives, but like it feels so enriching whenever someone comes back to you and they're like, you like really helped me. That's just amazing.
Yeah. And to be able to help people in this way, you know, is so empowering. It's such a blessing to be able to feel like, oh, I can help, I can make a difference, you know, in ways that I never thought I could before. So.
Also, so like when I sell the talismans, I always do divination on like what they should cost and how many there should be. Like I don't determine, I let the being determine how many, right? And so like Venus, you know, it always adds up to multiples of 9. The Mars one is always like, he always limits me to 5, right? And so there's only 5 of any one kind. But basically, yeah, I don't set the prices. They do. And honestly, they could probably be worth more, but I don't like the people that sell talismans for like $500. It's like, all right, come on. Like, it's not like, what are you like? Do you really need that much for the talisman? Like, you shouldn't be like sustaining yourself on the talisman. It's really more like, you know, the talisman, making the talisman, you do take a hit, right? Temporarily, but it's only like, it's like no more than like a heavy night of drinking, basically, right? And so, you know, you're getting compensation for the damage like you took, like making it, right? And that's how I look at it, right? It's just,
Yeah, I
like,
agree.
all right, this is approximately how much of like myself I put into this, you know, and it costs me to do this, you know?
Oh yeah, like and I would add too, like, you know, how you brought up those magicians who like charge like $500 a talisman. Like those, I'm sorry y'all, but those are not real magicians. Stay away from those people. Like, you know, they you know, sure they might know things and stuff like, you know, and maybe they just like have a hyperinflated ego. I don't know. But I feel like there's some like karmic retribution that's going to come back at you if you're charging that much for a talisman. My God.
I don't know if there's karmic retribution that's going to come out of it. It's just that, like, it's just my kind of, you know, I just have an anti, I don't know. I just don't like the
My labor politics follow into
profit impulse. Like, if do you really need to extract as much as is possible? Like, can't you just take what you need and like leave? Like that's just something that I don't understand about people, right? Is this impulse to just to this greed, right? Like I just don't get it. Like it just doesn't. I don't know.
To the straw man, right? Of like, you know, the no true Scotsman, no true magician is that greedy. Because if you're a proper magician, and me, you know, when I mean by proper, yeah, you've done that. So the appeal of all of that lusty earthly greed, like for what? And at what price? Because you understand the greater consequences of how that was extracted and what you were participating in and all those fun things. So, and so that would be why I would always be skeptical of someone who's like charging crazy amounts for magic, because I'm like, that's interesting. You're doing something, and that's,
I guess,
whatever that might be.
I guess since the chat is asking about like the talismans, yeah, they are still asking about this. Like, just send me emails if you're interested in either Mars or Venus, because I don't really want to. These ones are so good that I only want to sell them to people that are like cool. So, you know, if you're watching the stream at this point, this late, then you're definitely, you know, you pass the test, right? So send me an email if you want to buy one. I'll sell it. You guys get priority, right? So if you want to buy any of it, just email me. I put my email in the chat, right? And I will correspond with you, and we'll get it hooked up. Because yeah, these ones are so good that I don't want to just post on Twitter about it. So you guys can have them. Yeah.
Sweet.
All right.
Well, I'm gonna go make a late dinner, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening.
I think that wraps it up. Thank you so much, Samraya, for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh no, thanks
everyone for tuning in as well.
All right, y'all.
All right, thanks, guys.